Welcome to Simply Woman Speaks. I think we're coming live right now. I want to welcome you for being here. I'm super excited. We have 4 hours of, I think it's going to be some kind of magic. I'm absolutely thrilled that you're here with me today and that I get to be here with you today. It's going to be a sacred gathering of extraordinary women who are not just here to listen, but to engage. Hopefully that's you, to uplift and to transform. Today, we are more than just participants in an event. We are sisters. We really are. I know that may seem corny, but those of you who have been in my world for a while know that I'm always like, girl. And then that wasn't acceptable. And then I was like, sisters. And now girl is okay again. So I'm back to going, girl. We are on a shared journey today. You're in the right place. It's going to be a time of community, of celebrating, of commiserating together by our stories, by our strengths, and our desire to create, a better world for ourselves and for each other and for those we love. As we begin today, I want to acknowledge the courage that it takes to be here, showing up for yourself, especially on a long weekend. You're here. And to our speakers today, thank you. You are going to have the floor today, and we are going to get to witness you in your glory. No pressure, but here is what I want to say. Showing up for yourself, for the speakers, for the facilitators, for you, no matter where you're at right now. It is no small feat. It's not easy being a woman in this world and trying to juggle it all and make it all work. So whether right now you are in your living room, or you're in a quiet corner of your room, or you're maybe still in bed drinking coffee or tea, or maybe you're even in your car between errands. Just know that you're exactly where you need to be at this moment. You are in company of women like you who have overcome. They have. Every one of these women have stories, probably just like you have a story. Well, I know you do. They've risen above. And they're here to claim their rightful place and their space and to take up space in this world. And today is just a small snippet of what they have to share. And let me tell you, I have hundreds of women like this in my world, even just women from my school, the SWAT Institute, Simply Woman accredited trainer. And we're going to be talking a little bit about that at some point. In fact, all of the facilitators today are graduates or currently just getting ready to graduate from our personal empowerment coach certification or our master, but they all have their own magic about them. And our personal empowerment coach certification, some of them are master empowerment coaches now, I think have just added to the courage to be seen, to be visible, to realize they matter, to show up. And I hope that it's going to inspire you today as well, because it is about your voice. It is about your story, and it is about your power. So over the next few hours, yes, we're going to be immersed in the wisdom and the experiences of some truly phenomenal women, each of whom has something unique and profound to share. And I invite you right now to open up your heart, to open up your mind, to be fully present with us. This is your time to connect, to reflect, and to discover maybe some infinite possibilities within you. That's what it does. That's what storytelling does. It sort of opens us up and wakes us up to seeing things through different lenses. You know, one of the things that I will say often when I'm teaching my students or in one of my calls, and it goes way back to what is empowerment and what does empowerment mean and what does a day like today mean? And I always would say, well, empowerment equals choice. Like if you were mandated to be here today, you wouldn't feel empowered about your decision, but it's your choice and you're here. And in every aspect of our lives, sometimes when we think we have no choice, we disempower ourselves. So empowerment equals choice. And the only way that you can feel capable and confident of making the right choices is learning how to tap back into your own inner wisdom, to learn from past things, sometimes to let it go and sometimes to let most of it go, but to glean the gifts in the garbage, to find that message in your mess. And everyone today, whether they share a personal deep story or how things have transformed in their lives. I know every one of them have found the gift in their own baggage in their life, and they're here to share it with you today. So my most important takeaway at this point, and we're only 5 minutes in, and we're going to be getting ready to go to these speakers very shortly. And speakers, I'm here for you too. So for those of you that are up first, you can just let us know in the chat that you're here and even raise your hand. But my most important takeaway for everyone at this point, myself included, ladies, I got a lot to share myself, but today it's not about me. It's about you, and it's about these women, and it's about sisterhood. And so I want you to know this. When you own your story, and that means you can tell it, and you tell it in your way, in your truth, in what you experienced and what you felt. Because here's the thing I've learned about memories. I know we want our memories to be as accurate as possible. We do. But the brain is a funny thing, and sometimes it does remember things not always as accurately as we think it might be. But here's what I will tell a woman. Even if someone is disputing your memory, someone in your life, someone saying, that's not true, that's not how it happened, and that might not be happening to you, but if it is, just know something. It's not so important that you remember every detail, but it's that you know how it made you feel. You know how it made you feel. And so, yeah, empowerment is being able to recognize how you feel and having tools to help you look at it from different perspectives, to choose the perspective that best serves you, to work through your own stuff if you realize maybe I am reading into it wrong, but not to gaslight yourself. Like, we got to start by first being honest about how we feel, and not even this is how you made me feel. It's not even so much this is what that person made me feel. But this is how I feel. And so today it is you giving yourself permission to listen, to maybe commiserate with some of the stories, to find connection, to see yourself, and maybe even to see yourself one day doing this with me, or on your own TED Talk stage, or running your own webinar, or who knows. That's what's so exciting about this. I will tell you that not only can we not heal alone, because if we could, I know I probably think I built all of this cathartically to help heal myself. I needed a sisterhood. I needed a family. I needed roots. I needed a safe place. And it's unbelievable that 30 years of doing this, I have that place for myself now. And so I'm going to sit back today. There's going to be times that you're going to see me just turn off my video and turn off my mic and minimize my screen and sit back and just take it all in, because I'm in awe. I'm in awe of all of these women, and I'm in awe of what I've created, but it hasn't been just me. It's been a movement that's been slow moving in many ways, but also because there were times along this journey that I got afraid and I stopped wanting to be seen, and I started questioning my past, and is that accurate? And am I seeing it accurately? But what I've learned coming through it all is that, yeah, I have to own my story so that it no longer owns me. And you have to own your story so that it no longer owns you. So before we dive into our first speaker, and we are going to be diving into our first speaker in just a few minutes, and I'm just going to check and see that we've got, just want to make sure anybody has raised their hands. I see a hand to speak. That's Nicole. Nicole, I'm so excited. You're up next. You're up first. Nicole is one of my best friends, and she has been such an empowering woman in my life over the last couple of years. And so I want you to really sit back and take in what her message is, because she has really helped me also remember who I am, because we can forget, right? And I'm not talking about remember what you did yesterday, or remember how crappy you felt last week, or no, I'm talking about remembering who you are under the wounds and under the struggles and under the he said, she said, and under all that stuff, and under the times you've doubted yourself, and under all of that, remember who you are. And so a lot of today is just getting back to remembering who you are too. You matter. And I'm so grateful you're here today. So before we dive into our first speaker, Miss Nicola Roche, as I like to say it, and she has a chuckle at me. Let's go over a few housekeeping guidelines to ensure everyone has the best possible experience here today. Join the chat. I think it's on this side to you. Join the chat if you haven't yet. Please take a moment, say hi in the chat. Let us know where you're calling from. We really want to create a sense of community, so don't be shy. Introduce yourself, share your thoughts along the way, engage with others throughout this event. I have learned that community builds immunity. We cannot heal alone. Like, we need each other. The good stuff, and unfortunately, even the stuff that's triggering and hard for us, it still is opportunities for us to like look at ourselves and figure ourselves out. Like, why am I in this? And why is this happening? And what can I do to change this? And is this even my fault? And maybe there's other possibilities. And when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. So today might be that opportunity for you. Stay present if you can. Listen, I know it's 4 hours. I'm sure I'm going to take a pee break during one of the talks. But I do want to let you know, I'm going to put it under the file right now. Let me go to files. And I am going to share the itinerary for today. I'm sharing that right now. So I'm not sharing the strength. Not that yet. We might share that too at some point. But I hope just maybe you can let me know in the chat that you are seeing the itinerary. If you don't have a copy of it, you can download it right now to your computer. You'll see if we all stay on track, and I'm looking at the time myself to make sure I do too. If we all stay on track, then you're going to know when maybe there's certain speakers or certain topics that you will look along and be like, I cannot miss that one. Just know that in between some of those times, I've allotted a little extra space for if there's any technical difficulties, if there's any. So those are the timelines we're really trying to adhere to. Be generous, because, I'm amazed that we have not done a test run of this. And I'm just hoping everybody, I'm in the flow, and I'm just believing that we're all going to be in the flow and it's all going to work out fantastically. So let's just make sure we're good. Everything is good so far. Great. So ladies, some of you are coming on. It's great. I'm seeing right now about 300 women registered here coming in. I tend to know that these numbers start to exponentially multiply once we start getting into things. And so also know that you might be catching this as a replay. I'm just throwing this out there. And if you are, welcome as well. I'm of course excited that you're here a little after the fact. Okay, let me just quickly make sure my housekeeping, and I'm going to be getting ready to introduce my dear friend Nicole. Stay present. If this is a gift you've given yourself, try to be here. Silence your phone. Close unnecessary tabs. Like, dedicate yourself to this time. It's for you. If you can, create a peaceful space around you where you can listen, and you're not like, if that happens, I get it. But if you can, reflect, make notes, participate without distractions. Take notes, keep a notebook or a journal nearby. You'll hear ideas, stories, and insights today that might spark something deep within you. Write them down, let them percolate, see where they lead you. Ask questions in the chat. Throughout the event, you'll have the opportunity to ask questions. Just don't hesitate. This is a safe place where your voice matters. And when I'm not talking, I'll be in the chat. I also have my dog here. He's 16 and a half. So if he occasionally has a little freak out, needs to go somewhere, I may be running. But whether it's something that a speaker says that resonates with you, or a thought you want to further explore, we want to hear from you. Finally, technical support. If you encounter technical issues, we're going to do our best to support you. Reach out in the chat. We'll assist you as quickly as possible. I also have a thunderbolt little thing on my screen that if something happens, that our room goes crazy, I'm going to hit it, and we're all going to move together to a new room. But Fingers crossed. Here we go. All right. Stay to the end if you can. We have some very special surprises planned, including an opportunity to book a discovery session, a chance to win some amazing gifts. So make sure you stay until the end if you can. Now, before we move forward, and I see that it's 11:15, I want you to take a deep breath, 2 feet on the floor. Inhale. Fill up your lungs. Big breath with the energy of this movement. Exhale. Release any doubts or fears that you may have. One more time. Big breath. Inhale the energy of this movement. Exhale. Release any doubts or fears that you have. Feel the connection that we share, the collective power of women coming together. And remember, today is not just about listening. It's about being an active participant in your own empowerment. And I'm now going to kick things off. I'm going over to my speak. I'm bringing in Nicole. And I'm hoping Nicole comes on here. And just quickly, as she's coming on, I'm going to just read a quick little. Nicole is the founder of Spark Maven. She has over 20 years of experience in inspiring change through transformational storytelling. Nicole is going to kick things off by revealing how embracing vulnerability and authenticity in storytelling can create lasting, meaningful connections that will ripple into every aspect of your life. Sharing her tried and true approach, Nicole and I are working on some incredible projects right now together, and she is going to share some key steps to help empower you to share your most powerful truths. I'm going to maximize Nicole. There you go, Miss Nicole. You are on, darling. Can you hear us? Are you good? Are we hearing
Yes,
you?
I can. I'm just going to turn up my volume a bit.
Okay, great. I'm going to turn off my
Perfect.
video, my beautiful friend. I'm turning this over to one of my besties. You got the floor, girl. Go for it.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Crystal. I'm so excited to be here. When I was invited by Crystal to be part of this Simply Women Speak event, I was all in. Nothing excites me more than listening to women harness the power of their voice and speak their truth to leave their mark on the world. So this event really is so incredibly important. It's needed. And as well, it's very personal for me. So let me explain. Um, as a communications expert, my passion is truly about the transformative power of authentic storytelling and building connections that mobilize people for change. And, for the past 20 years, I've helped leaders, entrepreneurs, organizations find their voice, build their brand so they can tell their stories, whether it's to the media, on big stages, to their organization, to their staff, and even to their colleagues, and tell those stories with authenticity, clarity, and confidence. So, I've had this privilege. I've been a communications, passionate, avid advocate for communicating with authenticity all throughout my career. And I've been so blessed in helping people go from being very shy and hesitant to blossom into these powerful speakers that are influencing their audiences and amplifying their messages with a broader reach. And it was a thrill. It has been an exceptional ride for the past 20 years. But with the good, there were some dark times as well. And, I'd like to share a little bit of that with you also. And despite the excitement I had amplifying voices, the voices of others through my work, somewhere along the way, I began to lose mine. So I'll take you back 7 years ago when I was on top of my career game as a corporate communications professional. And, a lot was going on in the world at that time, at least within my industry. And what ended up happening is I was restructured out of my job, which was a crushing blow to me. And on top of that, I was in a 17-year relationship that began to crumble, which resulted in me ending up raising my daughter on my own. So, it was really a double whammy for me at that time: loss of job, loss of my family structure as I'd known it. And somewhere along the way, through all of that pain, I began to lose my voice. I didn't think I had value anymore. I didn't think I was worthy of doing communications, of having a healthy relationship dynamic. And I slowly began to withdraw and wither away in my mind. So after months of questioning who I was, because my identity was wrapped up in my work, I realized that something had to change. I couldn't just stay, laying down. I had to get up. I had to rise up. And if not for me, for my daughter. And so slowly but surely, I picked up myself again and I needed a fresh start. And fate would have it that I ended up learning about the SWAT Institute, in particular, the personal empowerment coaching certification that Crystal was driving and leading. And let me tell you, that program really helped me to reclaim my voice, gain new skills, new understanding of who I was, and also pick up some new tools around empowered communications that enabled me to take that courageous step into entrepreneurship myself and become a communications consultant and empowerment coach. So, you're going to hear a lot of incredible stories like this today. And honestly, you're going to be so inspired and so charged, just learning about how these authentic stories are making a positive difference in the world. And in fact, it may, like Crystal said, inspire you to want to do the same. And so, I want to really focus on diving into some three simple and practical steps that you can take to really help you get started in uncovering and sharing your own authentic story with the people that need to hear it. You have an audience waiting for you. So to lay that foundation, and I think maybe I don't have to because Crystal did a great job talking about storytelling in terms of what it means for us all. For me, it's really truly about connection, right? For all of us, it's connection. And really, when we share our stories, we are inviting others to understand our unique experiences. And that even includes sharing those emotional connections through common emotions such as love, joy, loss, and pain. And we live in a time where our audiences who we're speaking to are more savvy already. They you can't pull anything over their eyes. They want genuine connection. They want to hear real, honest stories that truly resonate. And it's about, sharing our vulnerability in ways that help us to create deeper connections and trust. At the end of the day, our stories that we share are impactful when they're genuine. So let's get into those three steps that I mentioned. The first one being you know, reflecting on what's happening in your life. So it's really about reflection, finding your spark, taking that time to reflect on those key experiences and those challenges, those moments that actually defined that change or that coming of age moment or that epiphany that you had that set you on a new course in your life. For me, it was the culmination of the loss of my job to the irretrievable breakdown of my relationship and to finding out who I was in this world and how I wanted to show up. It meant another component of that is embracing that vulnerability, as I mentioned before, and knowing that your struggles hold powerful stories. So, what I was going through, losing the job, seeing my life crumble, and not understanding how to pick up the pieces, really made me question my own value and self worth. And then taking it not only there, but through this reflection process, undergoing a sense of peeling, going deeper, peeling the onion layer, so to speak, to try and figure out, well, where was this breakdown? Where did this loss of my voice come from? Was it perhaps because on the outside I felt safe to the world? It looked as though, I was on the top of my game, my career was safe, and I had this relationship that on the outside it looked successful, and then everything imploding. And at the end of the day, I lost my voice. How did that happen? Shouldn't I have been able to hold it together at some point? In fact, what I realized is that I was not taking the time to get to know who I was. I lost a sense of self in that process, which was really an epiphany moment in my road to self discovery and reinventing who I was. so that I could not only be a better mother, a better provider to my daughter, but also to be good to the person I am, despite what was ever happening around me, coming back to my own true north and finding my own voice again. So once you've done that reflection part, which is a critical step in understanding where you were and what is that area of focus you want to talk about, you then go into craft step 2, which is about clarity, crafting your message. And that's really about you understanding what are those key messages, the core messages of your story. It's about having a consistent theme throughout that will help you ensure that your audience is able to follow along with your story with all the context and details. There's a common thread that will carry them through your story that they will be able to understand and see from start to beginning. And that really is about my experience too with my story. It was a story about resilience. It was about loss that I was able to come through on the other side. And really it's a simple story. It's about keeping it simple. As complicated as our stories may be with textures and layers, it's an opportunity to refine it and ensure that it's consistent throughout from start to end. And then lastly, confidence. It's your story. You own it. You got it. Share it with conviction. Nobody knows your story better than you. Nobody has that lived experience, and that is your gift. And that is what you're sharing with people to help leave that lasting impression. So really, that's it, everyone. It's those 3 key steps. Step 1, reflection, finding your spark. Number 2, clarity, crafting your message. And lastly, number 3, confidence, embracing and uncovering your truth. And I'm sure that today you're going to be seeing a lot of that with all the stories you're hearing. And hopefully you'll be inspired as well as I am to share your story on a stage one of these days, maybe at Simply Women Speak in the future. Thank you.
Thank you so much. First, I wanted to say, Nicole, like I'm taking notes, you're speaking my language. So this is so exciting for me. So I wanted to really talk about limiting beliefs because, I've had to reinvent myself a few times. And the last time, it's something I really didn't expect. What I really want to do in the next 10 minutes is get a fire going in your belly, because when you have that fire, you can ask yourself this question, and I love it. And that is, what is possible for me? I hope you don't know the answer. So I had to readjust my life, and I'm on a new trajectory because everything happened at once, and I had to go on disability with my work. And I want to talk to you about something that happened when I was in my 40s as well. So it changed the trajectory, and now I'm coaching people, and it couldn't be more rewarding. This is a time in my life where I had to reinvent myself, and I really didn't know where I was going to start. And one foot led to the other, a little bit of excitement, a little bit of fear, and I went for it anyway. Get that fire going. I got to tell you a story, okay? So when I was 40, I left my husband. It was 20 years of marriage, and our daughters were grown up, and we had a son that's 10. I never had a credit card. I never took control over my own money. So my husband had to pay my first and last month's rent at my new place. I worked for years in cosmetics, and I was at the counter, okay? But when I left my husband, I was working for Rogers. So this is the thing. I wanted to bloom. I wanted to do something new. I didn't want to be in a controlling relationship. So I'm in my new place, and all of a sudden, I am working at Rogers, and the job of my dreams is an account executive for a cosmetic company. That was my background. So when I worked in the behind the counters and in cosmetic companies, it was really interesting because my account executive would come in with a rolling suitcase, and she'd drive her company car, and she was all dressed to the nines, and she would do marketing and business, and it really excited me. I wanted that piece. So when she would come in to visit, I would say to her, I would interrogate her, ask her all the questions, and I'd say, how can I become one? And you know what she said? She said, well, Jill, you have to have a university education to be an account executive. And I didn't have that. So, c'est la vie. We go on. And finally, one day she said to me, Jill, maybe it's a big maybe, but if you got into a company like Rogers or TELUS or, Bell, they'll teach you all the P&Ls and the business. And then maybe, just maybe, you will get hired. So one day I was at Rogers. I did exactly that. I got hired there. And then one day was just getting over getting sick, and it was the last day of the gift with purchase at Clinique. So I went in there to get my stuff, and I got my gift with purchase, and Cindy, who I used to work with, was behind the counter. Okay. You with me? So Cindy said, Jill, they're hiring at Estee Lauder. Now that's the mothership of cosmetic companies. So I run home and I craft my resume. And I'm nervous. And I sent, because I knew so much about this job, I was so passionate about it, that I did a little essay type of paper called A Day in the Life. And I put in all the things, how I would handle obstacles and challenges and anything that would come up through my day on the job. And I sent it in. And I got called and I got interviewed. So they said, next Monday, you have an interview with us at 2:00. I couldn't believe it. I have an interview. Didn't put my education down on the resume. And what I did was I had literally, because I was living paycheck to paycheck, I had just under $300. And I went out to Tristan and bought a brand new suit for my interview for $250. Now, I don't advocate spending money that you don't have, but I got to tell you, my belief in myself was pretty good. So I went in there and I nailed it and got the job. Very unheard of back then. And so after that, it opened the door. That one thing led to me believing that anything I kind of start doing will work. The next thing that happened, I guess 7 to 10 years down the road, a position came up as a medical sales rep. You need a science degree for that. This is the thing. I went for that job because I'm an ingredient junkie and I love business, and I got it. After that, I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, like if you can pick something you love and you get in that moment of passion and you just live it and do it and learn it and practice it, the doors will open. But the thing is, it doesn't always have to be the end result. It doesn't have to be that you're waiting for that end result. It's who you're becoming while you're doing the stuff, while you're doing the work, the new job, and as you go and you just keep going and doing and practicing, doors kind of open up, and it looks like they tell you it can't be done. But don't ever take that as the truth, because when you live your truth in that soul of yours and you feel passionate and you feel that burning desire in your belly, nothing can stop you. And that, I think, is the biggest thing I wanted to talk about today, is that burning desire. Please listen to it. And if somebody says to you, you have to have a university degree, you have to be this age. No, you do not. And you can reinvent yourself any day, anything you want to do. But the beauty is in the process, because before you hit that end result, you might change the trajectory and want to do something else. And that's good, because you've been working on it this whole time. So one last thing is that your primitive brain likes to send you a ton of messages. Let your frontal cortex take over and answer some of those empowering questions. Like Crystal says, what would courage have me do? and really listen, and don't be afraid, because you will start to learn to trust yourself, have your own back, and there's nothing more empowering, and your belief system will be unwavering. So the thing is that the circumstance is kind of out of your control, but the thought is what ignites that feeling and that emotion. And that feeling and emotion ignites your actions, and that will drive your results. So remember that. And I am so excited for every single one of us here to be inspired and to inspire each other. Mwah.
Yay, Jill. Thank you so much. You're so inspiring. You're so authentic. I know so many women just related to you. And ladies, that's what I think is so important, is that no matter where we see somebody, or how did they do that, or how did they accomplish that, Jill just made it really listen, we all have the right to create the life that we want, deserve, and dream of. And Jill is living proof. So thank you so much, Jill.
I love you guys.
You're amazing. I'm going to be welcoming in our next speaker. It's been amazing watching the journey of Catherine as she comes on here today. Catherine, I think she came into my world. You guys, those of you know me know I'm terrible with dates and names. Because I will say to Catherine, and she's been in my world, and she now works for me, and she's becoming an assistant professor. She has recently graduated from our Master Empowerment Coach certification. This woman came into my world 3 or 4 years ago, listening to a podcast, and Catherine just gobbled it up. And she has been so inspiring to watch, as I've seen Catherine go from laying on a couch after a surgery from her double mastectomy and feeling so brokenhearted, to seeing her shining so bright. And I want to cry, and helping so many other people. And she's not only working with us at the school, she is working in a store now, helping women who have had mastectomies or are going through breast cancer, helping them, make peace with their bodies now. And so I'm not going to say anymore. I'm going to turn it over to Catherine, who I can never say her name right, because I can't say any name right. Hoseen, he's on. How's it?
Hoseen.
I know it every time. I do it every time. Ladies, okay. I'm going to let Catherine take over. Thank you so much. And thank you, Jill. Thank you, Nicole. And Catherine, you got the floor, girl.
Hi. So Jill kind of went to, what would courage have you do? So every time an opportunity comes up, I ask that to myself, and okay, I want to do this, and I'm going to do this. So here I am going to share a little bit about my story, my journey. As Crystal mentioned, I had a double mastectomy when I was 29, and it kind of just really affected my entire life, my family, my marriage, my job. Everything just kind of changed for me, how I wanted to be. But the difficult thing is that it was when, after the surgery itself, I couldn't decide on how I wanted to be or who I was, because I was stuck in the version I was before the surgery, before, having those words saying, hey, you have cancer. And that really just changes your life. So I took notes, because this is new to me to start sharing this. So last week, actually, I had a conversation with Crystal, and she brought up the question, how are you? And, the typical, oh, I'm good. I'm good. And then she brought up, how are you really? So that really, the pause and the really kind of hit me in a place where I was like, oh, I'm going through some stuff right now. And I recognize that so often I don't share it with others. And so I took a pause. We kept on with our conversation of the day and what we needed to do. But then I went back after the call, and I spoke to that part of me. I'm like, okay, what are you telling me? What are you speaking to me right now? Because I'm feeling that tension, the stress, that there's something coming up. So I wrote to that victim of me, the one that is struggling, and she had a lot to say. So I want to go back now to when I was 29, and I had that phone call, and I had to make really hard decisions. I just wasn't too sure on which surgery if I wanted to do surgery, if I wanted to do radiation. If I did radiation, I wouldn't be able to have any more kids, which, by the way, I ended up having a little girl 2 years ago, my little miracle baby. Oh. And I'm so glad that I chose the surgery over the other options, because my life is just as it should be. So I remember being in that shower and just curled up in a ball, bawling, because the shower was the only place that was safe for me to cry. I couldn't express it to other people. I didn't feel safe to share my pain, because I think so many of us do that, right? So many of us mask up, keep going in survival, pretending that nothing is really happening. So I was crying that day because I was at work prior, and somebody that I worked with 5 years before that, she was like, "Oh, I'm getting married and we're having a baby right away," and all this stuff. And I had to and she asked me how I was doing. And I was just like, in my mind going, "Oh, well, I just found out I have cancer a week ago, and I have all these decisions. I have all these things I need to do and decide." But you just go, "Oh, I'm good. I'm great." So that's where I let it all out in the shower. And then I came out, and my kids were like, "Oh, Mom, are you good?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, I was, soap in my eyes." So we have struggles sometimes, and it's really hard to talk to someone, open up to someone, share, or even understand our emotions. And that is what PEC and joining the Sisterhood really changed for me, was to understand my emotions, what I was feeling, and which part of me was speaking to me and showing up. So a lot of times my victim has a lot of pain that she's holding on to that needs to be addressed or looked at. So I had to deal with the PTSD that I had. I had to deal with the image of myself in the mirror. I had moments where I would stare in the mirror after my surgery and just imagine taking a knife and cutting off the new breast that I had. I was so disconnected of who I was, because my body wasn't me. My pain, my emotions, none of it. So what I did was, after surgery, I think 6 of revision, I found Crystal, and I started understanding the parts: women, daughter, mother energy. How am I showing up? I just wanted to learn more. And the more I did it, the more I started being able to understand who's showing up, who's taking charge to protect me at this time. So that's kind of what I did. And how I did that is kind of how I want to explain it to you guys. So one, learning it is very important. Learning your emotions, understanding what emotions mean, and naming them. But what I did to really understand on where I needed to put my focus was I did a heart timeline imprint. So you guys can do this at home. Draw a line, have your birth date at one end and your now. And write down above the line all of the memories that you have that brought you the really good emotions, the joy, the love, the excitement. So for me, my marriage, having my kids, winning championships in badminton when I was a teenager, all of those things were above that line. But then I started looking at the bottom line, and I had my breast cancer, my abuse, my insecurities, my sickness when I was, a teenager, and all my insecurities were written at the bottom. So that's why I started to say, okay, I need a safe place to look at what's at the bottom. And with that, I needed to understand what those were and what I was feeling. And so that's kind of how I was awakened to the stuff that was weighing me down, the weight of my past, and worked through my beliefs and my stories. And the thing is, I can still go back to that girl that was in that shower, and I can still feel her. I can still remember that exact moment. And I feel that pain still. It's still there. I experienced it. It's part of my life. But I can now look at it with compassion and understanding that it brought me to who I am today, and just love that part of me. And so for the one thing that I would love for you guys to do is, if you remember a time that you're hurting or something had happened, if you can't reach out to share with somebody at this moment, or you don't have that safe place just yet, embrace her and just let her know that you've made it. You're here. So that's kind of my message. And I'm seeing the love. So thank you. That's really touching.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, Catherine, that was so beautiful and so vulnerable and so honest. And I love you. I love you. Like you know what's crazy, ladies, is that I know I learned a long time ago, like especially as a teacher, but like I have to remind myself now at this stage of my life, I'm like, I know, but I'm 54 and these women are all adults. Like I'm not a teacher that I'm telling like a kindergarten kid, I love you. Maybe that's a wrong boundary, but like I love these women. Like they have become my family. They're my friends. They're my sisters. They're my daughters. They're my aunties. They're my cousins. These women, and Catherine has become like a little sister. Even sometimes I feel like, I know she's not that much younger than me, but I'm like, it's like she's my daughter too. And I do have this sense of like watching her blossoming. Like I know I'll say, how old do you get? Oh yeah. You're not like a little kid. You're a grown ass woman with kids. You've got some teenagers there. But boy, I just love you. And I love your journey. And I love how much you support our women. Catherine came in at first as obviously a student. She did the emotional edge course. She really bonded with some of the other people in the ladies in the course. And then they signed up to our personal empowerment coach certification, which starts at the end of September. They all really bonded. I watched this happen, but Catherine, you just kept rising into this leadership role without even trying to. It just so naturally happened. And I think it's amazing because when you listen to Catherine's story, she has her struggles like we all do, but she had some sicknesses through her teens that she didn't get to really fully embody the high school experience. I didn't either, but for different reasons. And so she didn't always get to be on those team sports and lead and be the captain. And sometimes we don't know that we're leaders until we're grown-ass women. And then suddenly everything we've been through in our life has prepared us for this moment. So Catherine has not only gone through 2 certifications, PEC and MEC, in 3 years. She's had a baby. Just the things she's done. And she has stepped up in running focus groups for our students outside of our classroom to support them. She became our social and educational assistant. And as of the last week, she is stepping up into a role to help support our master empowerment coaches in training as an assistant professor to me. So congratulations, Catherine, you've done the work.
Thank you.
And that's exactly what Joe was talking about. You have to do the work. It's not just reading about it, it's doing it. So,
and it's important to find someone that you can do the work with, that you feel safe with. Yeah. Regardless of who you choose.
Thank you. Thank you, Catherine. And ladies, I'm going to be welcoming in, let's minimize Catherine, and I'm going to be welcoming on Pearl now. I'm Catherine. We're going to get rid of Catherine. She left the room, and we're bringing Pearl on. I know Pearl is just coming into the room now. I want to do a quick introduction because Pearl is just another absolutely incredible woman that I've had the opportunity to teach, to connect with, to support, to celebrate. Pearl grew up in Iran. She moved to America as a child or a teenager. I forget her story, but I have read her story. She has gone through our personal empowerment coach certification. She's gone through our master empowerment coach certification. She's getting ready to graduate. She created her own podcast before she even knew what she was doing. And she has interviewed some of the most powerful, amazing movers and shakers in the world. Pearl's fervent mission to inspire every woman everywhere to embrace her authentic essence. She actually has a podcast called Female Fluence. I think I have that right, but I'll let her tell you. And she has emancipated herself from the confines of societal narratives, patriarchy, that have lingered for far too long in all of our cultures. not just in Iran, that's for sure. She has a driving force now. She's a happily married. Oh my God. I know her pictures are perfect, but I know she's got so many stories underneath it. So don't be fooled by that outside image, because she has done the work. She's now a happily married mother of 3 amazing kids. She lives in Los Angeles, California. She's living the good life. She's a podcaster. She's a coach. She's a woman's advocate. And Pearl is going to share with us today how to be a confident, fulfilled, and resilient woman. Pearl, I'm going to hand it over to you, girl. You got this. It's your floor now.
Hi, everyone. First of all, I just want to say I can seriously feel the energy today, even though it's virtual, but through the screen, being around such amazing, empowering women, I feel all of your energy. So I'm so excited to be part of this amazing platform. So yes, as Crystal said, I'm a woman empowerment coach and I have a podcast called Female Fluence. But let me tell you a little bit about my background and how I decided and evolved into the person that I am today. I am Persian. I was born in Iran, and basically, just to go back, especially back then, they did a lot of arranged marriages in the Middle East area. And so my mom was one of those women. She was 17 years old, and she was set up on an arranged marriage. And after being married for a few years, my father was diagnosed with leukemia and passed away. So imagine now, she is like an 18, 19-year-old woman. She's a widow with a child. At that point, she really kind of wanted to go back to school and start fresh. And she moved in with my grandparents. Unfortunately, just throughout like the generational trauma of like our culture back then, my grandparents didn't really know any better. They wanted her to be married. They just didn't think it was right for her to be living at home. And they didn't really support her decision into getting an education. She had no voice. And so at that point, they organized another arranged marriage to a much older man who his wife had passed away and had 2 daughters. So now she's again remarrying into a marriage that she does not want to do. And she is now she's a mother of 2 stepdaughters that are like teenagers. And she's like a teenager, pretty much, 19, 20 at this point herself. So this is the point where, I went from one situation to another situation, and then there was a revolution in Iran. So it was a time that things were getting really scary, and we had to make a decision. A new family that I just entered in, that we need to just all leave and leave everything that I know, that I'm used to, that I'm comfortable with, and just go somewhere else because it didn't seem like it was safe anymore. So my family basically said, we're going to the airport, pretend that we're just going on a vacation, don't cry. And I'm like 5 years old at this point. Just select your favorite things that you can pack. And that's how it was. It was to a point, it was scary. My mom, I remember, was sewing jewelry in my brother's teddy bear and rolling up, extra money because we were going on vacation into my brother's umbrella stroller. And there was a moment that we lost the stroller. And I remember my family was so frantic, but we found it. Anyhow, so from then on, we moved and we were trying to figure out if we were going to we wanted to come to America. Things were really crazy. We ended up in Europe. I did not even go to kindergarten. I think I started first grade in the middle of the year, and we entered Canada. At that point, I really didn't speak a single word of English. I didn't know anything about the culture. I had left everything I knew that was comfortable for me, my family, the traditions, everything behind, and I was starting fresh. And so trying to kind of get used to the culture, trying to fit in constantly, it was very, very challenging. After a while, obviously, finally, my mom, since it was another arranged marriage, she finally decided that this was not a marriage for her, and she got a divorce. And throughout many years later, she finally was able to marry for love. And so I had, through the stages of my life, my third father, which was an amazing stepfather, and he passed away a few years ago due to cancer, unfortunately. But the reason I'm just sharing all this with you is not to just bore you with my background story. It's just to tell you why I do what I want to do. for me, watching as a girl, watching my mom never having a voice, never being able to make a decision, and just knowing that, with the culture, I mean, it's not just Middle East, but there's a lot of parts of the world where women have no voice. And even as a little girl, that really bothered me. It was really, I just felt it in my soul. I didn't understand why she couldn't speak up and say, because I know if she had the choice, if she had gone to college, if she had not been pushed to get married, twice at an early age, she would have really become someone for herself. She could have started a business. She would have had a college degree. She would have really done something, but she was never, that choice was taken away from her. And so I remember I picked up on those things really early. And so later on, as I became an adult and I had daughters of my own, I have a 19-year-old daughter and a 16-year-old daughter. I just remember all the time saying, like, I'm never going to allow this to happen, because I see it even now all around me. Some ladies don't have a voice, and it's not just because of cultural differences or generational trauma. It's just because they have no idea how they're supposed to have a voice. No one has ever modeled it for them. No one has ever taught this to them. So I was an educator, which I love. That's my other passion, is children, because I just wanted to educate them. But later on, I decided, you know what? There's another passion in me. Something's calling me. There's a why. I need to empower women with what I have discovered, what I'm doing for myself. I need to kind of give back. So I decided to just create all of this, to create a community where women feel safe. They're not judged. They feel inspired by listening to other people's stories and saying, oh, well, if she did it, then I can do the same thing. And so that's how everything evolved. That's where my why came along. And so today I just wanted to share a little bit with you where my goal is just to help women become really fulfilled in life, because I just see it. There's so many women out there that are just kind of like robotic. They're not fulfilled. They don't even know what that means. I want them to have resilience and confidence. And so some of the ways that I help women to become this is I really tell them, first, the very first thing you need to do is check in with yourself. Check in with your values. What are your core values? What are your interests? Because I know a lot of times, especially as we become moms, we end up fulfilling that role so completely and 100%, and just giving up everything that we know about ourselves. We forget who we are in the process. I mean, I feel like that kind of happened to me as a mom of 3 kids. That was just my role. And as the kids got older, I just panicked. I was like, wait, who am I? What are my hobbies? Do I even remember what I wanted to be or do when I was younger? Because all I knew that, especially the way I was taught, or it was modeled in front of me by my mom, because that's what she knew. That was what was modeled for her, is you needed to sacrifice everything as a mother, as a wife, and you need to do everything for them. If you do anything for yourself, you're selfish. And that was where I wanted to change that story. So the first thing I really tell all of you guys is really check in to see what's important to you. What are your interests? What are your core values? So that you can start kind of getting an idea of who you are. Then the second important thing is that you need to silence that inner critique, that negative voice, that dark side that keeps telling you, you can't do this. You're not good enough. It's too late. It's too late for you. You're too old. You can't change your job now. You can't start fresh. You need to stop that voice. Every time you hear it, you need to just say, stop. I'm not going there, because you're stronger than that. You can tell yourself that you're going to listen to your champion side instead, and bring that out, because you have courage and you're bold. So once you start taking those 2 steps, then the next step is where you start working on your emotional, becoming very emotional resilient. So you're able to realize how strong you are. How are you going to react to different things that come up in your life, or different views that people have that want to just put you down and say, you're really going to do this? I don't think that's really going to work out for you. So it's really important how you react to different situations in life, and not just be so responsive in a negative way. If you can even see, during the politicians doing their debates, when they're challenged, the way they react in a very poised manner, they take back, they stop, and they kind of think about how they're going to respond instead of just attacking the next person. So if you have that in life and you're able to just take everything that's coming at you and just taking a breath, stopping for a moment and realizing, okay, I'm strong. I have this resilience in me. I can handle my emotions, and then responding, that is going to be so powerful for you. And the fourth thing, which is just as important as any of this, is self-prioritizing, having self-compassion. I feel like this has been a journey that I'm still learning, but loving myself, honoring myself, and constantly reminding myself that it's okay. I mean, just recently, I just made a little sticker and I put it in my mirror while I'm doing my makeup so that I can check in and say, okay, if I'm tired, if I am exhausted, if my body's telling me something, my heart's telling me something, I need to honor that. I need to constantly be reminded that it's okay. It's not selfish. It's not bad to say no. I need to have boundaries. So it's really important because in a lot of cultures or just society in general, as women, we have been told you need to be silent. If you speak up, if you say something, oh, that's not a good character. And we keep getting silence. And if we decide to do things for ourselves, then we're selfish, And so it's like we need to prioritize everyone, everything above us. And this is what needs to be changed. So if you follow these patterns where you are discovering your inner cores, you are silencing your inner critique, you're working on your emotional resiliency, and you are being kind and having self-compassion and love for yourself, then you will become that confident, fulfilled, and woman full of resilience that I want you, and I know all of you can become. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're so amazing, Pearl. Thank you so much. That was amazing. Gosh, Melanie's like, yeah, fuck selfishness. You guys all get ready for Melanie. She's coming. Melanie will come soon, and you get ready. And Amy, we got a few of these gals coming up that are going to be like lighting things up. Pearl, you light it up in your own magical way. I knew the minute we met, there was some real soul sister connection between us. And so I'm so grateful and honored that you chose us, you chose this school, you chose me, and you chose yourself. And I stand with you. I stand with you in the work that you're doing, because, when you talk about little girls in the Middle East, and it's not just the Middle East, but the little girls that have arranged marriages and don't get to choose I didn't grow up there. And yet, do you know that's actually underneath all of it? That is my driving force. And I always knew, but we got to have it start here. That's why the Dalai Lama said the Western woman will heal the world, so that we then come together in these communities and we start having that effect in other places. And so we got to take care of ourselves first. Pearl's doing it for herself, and then she gets to be the trickle down effect and the way shower for thousands, maybe millions of other women one day. So thank you, Pearl. And we're going to be moving along into our next speaker. I'm so excited for Teresa. She's coming up now. Teresa has been in, Teresa, when Teresa's on a class, when I'm teaching a class, and I see Teresa there, I know that if I say, does anyone have a question? Teresa is going to come on. She is going to bring it. She's always here to play. She is brilliant. And interestingly, and I know she's just getting ready to come on here now, I've added her to the conversation. But I remember when I first met Teresa, and then I found out that she was a hospital pharmacist. I was still working with parts. I was still working through all of my parts. That yes, you can be spiritual and sexy and smart and silly, and that's what Simply Woman is. And I think Teresa is just such a shining example of this woman who shows us by example that you can detangle yourself from job identity. You can be a pharmacist in a hospital. You can be so scientifically minded and be so spiritual and creative and so tapped into your genius. And so Teresa is going to be coming on today. She's going to be finishing with one of her spoken word creations, and I know we're going to all feel our joy rising. I do every time I'm around Teresa. So Teresa, I'm going to turn it over to you, Goddess, and sending you big love.
Thank you. Oh my God, you guys are so amazing. I hope you can hear me okay. I did an audio test before coming on. Just send me a little love in the chat that you can hear me all right.
We can. We can hear you. You're amazing. Good to go.
Goody gumdrops. I'm so excited to be here. Okay, so how I'm going to start this is, yes, it's about, diffusing our job identity dominance. And what that is a lot of us who have very strong careers, shall we say, we tend to get married to our job. And I realize that there are a lot of my friends here from healthcare that have joined us today. So this they will resonate with. And those of you in very high corporate jobs who are managers, etc., listen in, and anybody else. Okay, here we go. So when I heard these words from Wayne Dyer, you are not your job. You are not the expectations of others. You are not the opinions of others. You are not your mindful chatter or the chattering, monkey chatter in your brain. You are none of that. You are source energy. And then I just percolated on that for years and years and years. And then my life began to shift from identifying with my day job to exploring the real me. And so I just want to share with you guys that, this whole seminar is about who are we and who are we becoming. So self-expression in any form benefits your health, it benefits your wellness, and it benefits your soul. It has called me for many years, and I've listened to that calling sometimes, sometimes not. And now here I am, confident, curious, and always ready to play in my joy-filled way. So I'm going to talk today about spoken word art because that's exciting. It's an exciting new place for me. About 5 years ago, I lived in this little remote village up in the north of Canada in the subarctic. And many of us got together to do art in a community sort of way because, it was fun and it was empowering. And we found our like-minded group of people in this little village of about 700 people. So it evolved eventually into organized events, and then it became a grassroots movement, not unlike what we're doing here today. Community building immunity, people with like minds creating a grassroots movement. Hello, I'm in. And I became a founding member of the Churchill Creative Collective. The vision was to inspire creativity by building on local arts and culture to grow community wellness. And every year we would have an art show where people would showcase their form of self-expression. Mine was usually visual arts. I'm an artist as well. So I would show my paintings and my drawings, etc. But one year I decided to share my skill as a public speaker because as a healthcare professional, we all get trained to do this thing. And I created a workshop with the ideas of teaching people how to public speak as well as the spoken word. It was so fun. So it was built on the premises of safety, creating safety, having people to become curious about themselves. And we were all prompted to move out of our comfort zones. Boy, we had a blast. It was so fun. And ever since that workshop, I have been fostering this new form of inspiration for myself. And it's a new form of self-expression that just continues to grow. Fast forward a few years after that, and all of my personal development and my, spiritually coming out of the closet and coming out of the closet as an artist, etc. I just, ended up evolving with my morning rituals to doing meditation, doing journaling, sometimes, writing creative pieces when they dropped in. And little did I know that my newest muse was SWOT and all the teachings I have learned thus far. So that's a good segue as to why I joined SWOT and what brought me to the SWOT Institute with Crystal Andrus Morissette's amazing courses. I kept seeing Crystal drop in here and there with the inspirational speakers I would follow, like Wayne Dyer and Colette Baron-Reid and Hay House, and I Can Do at conferences. And then I watched a free webinar from Crystal, and she showed the map of consciousness, which was like the different emotions, as a scale of emotions and how they resonated on, with wattage of a light bulb, or the densities and which ones were more expanded and which ones were more dense. And I thought, I need to know more about my emotions, and I need to know more about other people's emotions, because they affect me too. And I needed to know that language because I couldn't just figure it out. What really interested me was the curious question of the differential space between someone who is joyful and someone who is working on some heavy stuff. Why was there such a gap there? So when you think about it, all of humanity is everywhere on the scale. That's our human experience. And I just needed to know the juicy workings of our emotional ranges and our energies. And when I'm in a certain emotional state, why is it that certain things resonate with me one day? I'm like, oh, I totally get that. Wow, that is so interesting. And the day before, I was like, I don't even understand that. What the hell, So it depends on our emotional state. It changes our perception of our reality. So, that's interesting. But after I joined SWOT and learned about emotions, I went through a profound emotional healing that really got rid of a lot of creative blocks. And here I am today. And I just want to say the SWOT Sisterhood is a very safe place where I could express my own emotions and also work on my new self-expression, and try out new creative writing pieces and my spoken word art. So without further ado, I'm going to share one with you. All right, and I think all the sisters, the SWOT sisters, will love this one, and you all will. You'll all get something out of it. And so, the thunderstorm passes, and my mind swims with poetry and prose. As I dive into my pool of musings, swimming in it, feeling the bliss of various words surround me, feeling the bliss of metaphors and eternity. And I am the poet, the artist, the performer, who takes a bow to herself as her inner family applauds. As her inner family is validated from her writings of the stories of her life, of her strife, of her wins and her losses, of her disappointments and releases, and her growth. Her inner family of the perfectionist, the mad scientist, the scared little girl, the workaholic, hello, the teenager who's angry all the time, the recovering rescuer, and her new teacher, her leader, her motivational speaker, her soul, her glorious soul, her true self who loves all of her. And they meditate, contemplate, and celebrate together who she is, who she was, and who she will become. Some are retired from driving the bus. Some are waiting in line, poised. as the seedling sings loudly, for she is complicated, gloriously flawed, compassionate and wise, and she is whole. For she is curious, she's confident, a trailblazer by example, bringing to the world her own flavor of magic and goodness. For she does her inner work and dives deep into her well to heal her stories of old, her triggers, and leaves behind the rich soil, watered by her tears of release, of letting go, of healing and joy. And her light shines as bright as the sun to nurture her seedlings that break through to see a glorious new day. And her breath so in charge. And her voice so authentically large feeds the seedlings the air they need into a new life of living free. So I just want to leave you guys with this. This is something that Wayne Dyer said a few years ago. Don't die with your music still in you.
There it is.
Right?
And there it is. And there it is. Yes. And that's what we're doing right now today. Bravo, 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 Teresa. Thank you so much. Thank you. You're amazing. And we are bringing Amy on now. I know that it's already been well over an hour. I am so engaged in everyone. This is so amazing. Is it amazing for you? I know we had a little technical difficulties there, but ladies, all things considered, we didn't do a practice run. I literally just sent off an email to say, like, just come on at this certain time and we're going to be in the flow and it's all just going to flow. And now we have our beautiful Amy Martin, who started off. Amy found me by listening to me in some webinar. And how do I always remember this, Amy? Because I was asked to do an interview and I was outside in my bikini and the interview is going on. And she said, it's not on camera. It's just audio. So I didn't even bother fixing myself up. And I come in and sit down. She's like, oh, can you turn your camera on? I'm like, I'm in my bikini right now. I just had a laugh. I laughed so hard. You listened to that call. You ended up buying some coaching. You ended up signing up for our personal empowerment coaching certification. And in that, I got to witness you. I got to witness you, girl. I got to witness you in your effing creative alchemy. And I'm going to turn it over to you now, Amy. Get ready, gals. No pressure, Amy. But this woman can bring it.
I mean, I thought I could. And then Teresa is reading, stuff that's just bringing me to my knees. So there's that. So thank you for that. That was beautiful and amazing. Yeah, Crystal, thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm super excited. And hey, Melanie, it's good to see all of y'all. And I'm laughing at myself too, because as Pearl was speaking and I'm like doing my thing, taking care of myself, I'm drinking my green juice. And I was so enthralled in her story that I went to set it down and I spilled it all over my desk and myself. So I was like cleaning up green juice and that's just what's happening. So, but yeah, I am Amy Martin and I am the founder of Effin Creative, and yes, Effin Creative. So I'll just go ahead, and Crystal broke the seal. So I'm just going to let it rip. Fuckity fuck, 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 fuck. Yeah, that's me. So fuck it all. Yeah. So my, I had to, it's in the middle. I just got to lighten this up a little bit. Yeah, because I'm all the feels that Teresa is reading. So, but my journey actually, where I start to tell my story, is back in 2013. And at the time I had, you'll laugh at all the fucks. The cat's still looking at the chat. But back in 2013, my oldest was a toddler. I was working full-time in corporate and balls to the wall, branding, design, all the things, working with national nonprofits, crushing it, doing all the things. And I suffered a series of miscarriages at that time. And it was interesting to me, which just popped into my head earlier as I was thinking about this, was at that time, I was training for my first half marathon the first time it happened. And I was training for a triathlon, like a sprint, the second time. And as I was reflecting on telling this story, I was like, well, the premise for my work that I'm doing now and where I'm at with my life now is like this sense of unapologetically just being self-centered, in the sense of taking care of me first, no matter what, and that being a non-negotiable. And it's interesting that at that time, when I thought I was taking care of myself by, exercising and training for these major events, that I had the most devastating thing in the world happen to me. And it brought me completely to a standstill. And I'm kind of, I still feel it. And it was really hard, and it really kind of wrecked me, and it wrecked, my just ability to kind of get up and keep trudging along. I was like, wait a minute, this, because with my first kiddo, I had a beautiful pregnancy, I gave birth naturally. And it was horrific, but I was able to trust my body and do that. And so I thought, well, second time around would be no problem. And all of a sudden my body had kind of betrayed me, what I felt. And that sense of like disconnect, almost like a severed head walking around, of like, well, I'm up here and my body is down here, and we're doing two totally different things and feeling two totally different things. So what the hell is going on? I started looking for outside reasons, one, for why the miscarriages happened. I was like, okay, is it environmental? Like, is it my stress level? Like, what is it? Like, what's the answer? Tell me why. Of course, I still have never received the why in that sense, but what it did do for me is it opened up the opportunity for me to self-reflect and go down this path of self-discovery and really reconnecting with who the hell that I actually was, because I was doing all the things that was checking the boxes for everyone else. I went to school, I got my degree, I, got a job, I moved in with my husband, who I've been with, since I was like 17. We moved in together, and we were going to, get married, and then we got married, and we bought a house, and we had our first kid, and we did all the things, and I was working my job. And then this like horrific thing happened, and it made me question literally everything. And so when that happened, the outside things, that's when I became aware of like environmental toxicities and things like that. I was like, is it the laundry detergent? Like, what the fuck was the reason? So I like switched all of that, I've kind of gone down that path, but I also, became yoga certified. So I did a 200-hour yoga teacher training, not because I wanted to be a yoga teacher, but I was like, I need answers. Like I need to find out like what is going on and why I'm so miserable. And, like how do I manage my stress and all these things? Like, why is everything not feeling aligned? And in that, I was able to kind of like reconnect with who I was. Thanks, internet. And distracted with the technology. But it allowed me to reconnect with who I was. And also it kind of set me on this different trajectory. So I was kind of going down this one path of like, I'm checking all the boxes, I'm doing all the things, and it's working fine. And then at the same time, it was like, whoa, what if you stopped doing all of that and went down this other path? And I was like, well, that kind of feels better. Like, I don't know, let's just go that way. And so I followed that. I followed that intuition. I followed that intuitive hit. And I remember being in the session where they like, try to get you to sign up and stuff. And I was like, well, but like, what's going to happen? And this girl was telling me, she's like, I don't know what's going to happen for you, but I will tell you that it's going to change your life. What the hell does that mean? Like, how's it going to change my life? What do you mean? And I feel like that was the same thing with SWAT when I met Crystal. And Crystal, you'll laugh, I can almost see you giggling, but like the first conversation that we had when I did sign up for coaching with you was, how do I make Yeah, there you are. It was like, how do I make $1 million in my business? Like, tell me why. Like, just tell me. Like, this is why I paid you. Like, where I hired you. Like, tell me how to make $1 million. And what was so funny was you were like, this is going to change your life, but like, that's not in the way that you think it will. And it's the same thing. It was that intuitive hit. I was like, okay, something's telling me this doesn't make sense, but something's telling me to move in this direction. And that listening, but also trusting myself was key, because that's the muscle that I've had to kind of keep working out, is like the trusting myself. Like, even when I get intuitive hits and they don't make sense, I have to follow that, because it's eventually going to lead me to the right path. And that was the thing with the yoga teacher training. I got a kid yoga teacher training certification after that, Ayurveda, all the things. Like, I have all the modalities. I mean, I can send you guys a list, but like, you know, and even with the SWAT stuff, it was like, ooh, okay, this is where I'm at now. How do I dive deeper into my emotions? Because my emotional state is disrupting every other aspect in my life right now. So what's that about? Because I thought I fixed and healed all that. I'm healed now. Remember, I'm a yogi. And that wasn't the case. It was like, we're in this ever evolving thing that we have to keep sort of trudging through to dig a little deeper, like get a little more dirty, dig a little further in the ground. I'm laughing because my youngest comes in my room and he's like completely ripped up all my plants, and he's like, I'm gardening, and he just throws dirt all over my room. But at the same time, it's like he's digging in the dirt, right? It's that same analogy of like, we just got to keep kind of peeling back the layers. And so what my work is now is really kind of getting women to, one, be comfortable with diving into their depths, because sometimes there's stuff in there that it's ugly, it's scary, it feels gross. You know, it's something that we want to forget. We don't really want to bother with it. And not that we all need to go and like relive all of our trauma, but it's almost like getting comfortable with those parts of yourself. And as a lot of the women have said earlier, it's how do you trust yourself that you're going to be safe as you go down this journey? And how do you reawaken who you actually are? Because all this outside shit has been just like hitting you over the years. And it's like, hold on, wait a minute. Let me clear some space. Let me take a minute. Let me breathe. Let me come back to center. Let me realign with who I am. Take a minute and listen to the answer that you already have. You have it. It comes to you before you even done asking the question. It hits you like a ton of bricks, where it's like, is this a yes or a no? It'll hit you before you even done asking. And so can you imagine a world where women actually are in tune with this, and they do listen to themselves, and they follow their intuition, and they feel completely liberated, and they are taking care of themselves first, whether they're moms, whether they're caregivers, whether they are partners, whether they are, you know, any of the roles that we play with your corporate career or whatever it is, right? Like, can you imagine if we all just took a second and took care of ourselves and asked ourselves what we need? What do I need today? And honoring that and doing it consistently to where it's a habit, yes, but also it develops that trust muscle, so that when the big stuff, when life starts to life, because life is going to life, that you can go back and say, okay, what do I need in this moment? How do I get support? How do I ask for what I need? And how do I speak that? Because when I don't speak it, nothing is going to change. When I don't use my voice to change the vibration of my existence, nothing will change. And so it's feeling that comfortableness, but also the worthiness that your voice matters and it needs to be heard. And doing that by taking care of yourself and hearing what needs to come out and honoring that. And I don't know if I'm at time or I went over, but I think I'll stop there. So thank you.
So great, Amy. You're again, another authentic from the heart conversation of a real woman who's doing it in real time, in real life. It's real. This is real stuff. This is real life. These are real tools. It doesn't mean suddenly. I laugh because I've had a lot of women, Amy, that the first time they get on a call with me, they're like, okay, listen, I don't want to hear your stories. Just tell me how I'm going to make $1 million by next weekend. Like, I'm joking, but like, I need to make a lot of money. Can you help me make it? I'm kind of like, what we always teach is we've got to understand our emotions first, and then we can strategize. Because if we're trying to strategize from this emotional place, your inner wisdom is not going to give you the answers that you really want and need. So we got Jill. We're going to say au revoir to Amy. Thank you so much, Goddess. Ladies, we're going to make sure that all of you can connect with these women through Instagram, through social, Facebook. Of course, there's going to come an opportunity maybe that you haven't, if you haven't already, join our Simply Woman Facebook group. All of these women are there. And I'm actually going to be turning it over to Miss Jennifer. Jennifer, is your audio on? Have I somehow turned off? No, I think I've done something to your audio. Jennifer, what did I do? I turned off your audio. Can you bring your audio back on? I might have done that. Geez, you know what? I heard your noise just when you come on and I hit audio.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, there you go, Goddess. Okay, ladies, I am so excited. Jennifer has been in my world for a super duper long time. She is one of our original master empowerment coaches. This woman is grounded and spiritual and enlightened and fun and no pressure, Jen, but let's just turn it over to Jennifer, and I'm going to turn off my video now. You got the floor, girl.
Thank you, Crystal. That was a nice intro. Makes me a little emotional. So yeah, I'm Jennifer Mann from Planted Life Coaching, and I am a SWAT certified master empowerment coach. But for me, it all started with dogs. So for the last 20 years, I've been coaching pet owners, primarily women, to help with their animals' problem behaviors. And I use science-based methods, but also some holistic and intuitive methods. And what I find when I work with people's pets is that often the animals' issues aren't actually the animals, and it actually links back to the dynamics of the people in the household. So our pets' energy fields are like little sponges, and they can take on so much stress from us. And that can come out later as problem behaviors or even illness. So knowing that it was often stemming from the people, I decided to join the Master Empowerment Coach program probably about 10 years ago. And that was so I could learn to really help my clients from the root up. So now when I coach women with dogs and without dogs, it's all about going within, looking at what we're made of. How is our nervous system operating? How are we showing up unconsciously in the world? And when we look around at our lives, the people around us, our pets, our children, our bosses, our jobs, all of that is a reflection of where our own inner energy is resonating. So if we learn to pay attention, life will literally show us where to go within and do that self-work to release some stress and create some peace. So it's also invaluable to have a coach walk you through that process, because once you start doing that work, you can start to make conscious decisions in your life, and you can choose what seeds you want to plant and nurture in your life. And then you can watch the reflections in children, pets, jobs, situations in your life as they start reflecting new opportunities to you. I personally went through some really big shifts during the time I was doing my coaching training. Big things like I left my stable job in finance to start my own business with animals. I changed my health completely by changing the way that I eat and the way that I exercise, and I've maintained that long term. I put myself out there a lot more now. I join in-person groups that meet people IRL and make really meaningful connections. I have made mindfulness a daily practice, and I have embodied love as just a way of life. So I really felt that I fell into alignment with the real authentic me, and that real me had been buried behind life's busyness for so long. Life now feels calmer. I do have just a sense of acceptance and gratitude for what is, but also an excitement of what's going to unfold next. And I absolutely love going through that same process with my clients and watching them find their authentic selves as well. I know as I was going through it, I discovered that I actually felt like I had been walking through life wearing like 10 winter coats that I wasn't even aware of. And as I was doing the work, and you start to take each layer of protection off one by one, your nervous system just starts to calm, and it changes your energy. So it changes how you put yourself out in the world. And then it changes how the world is reflecting things back to you. So I would love to walk you all through an emotional freedom technique, or EFT tapping, to help you relax your nervous system and to maybe just find some of your true inner voice inside. So for anyone who wants to participate, just sit comfortably with 2 feet on the floor. And we're actually going to start by thinking about a stressful situation in your life, something that is on your mind. And as you think about that and how it affects you physically, emotionally, I want you to rate it on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being totally relaxed and 10 being totally stressed. And just make a mental note of that number. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just pick 1 and stick with it. And then we're going to bring up some of the negative aspects around that stress so that we can release them first before we start focusing on the positive. So you can watch along with me to follow along. And there are different tapping points that we will tap on as we're talking. And if you already know the tapping points, you are welcome to close your eyes and just listen as you follow along. But you can keep an eye on me, and we're going to start by tapping on the side of your hand. Doesn't matter which hand, either one. And just tapping gently with the fingertips. And then everything that I say, you're going to just repeat, hopefully out loud if you can, but in your head is okay too. Thinking about your stressful situation, repeat after me. All this stress, it's building up inside of me. I can actually feel this stress sitting in my fill in the blank. It's probably affecting my health. No one else has to carry this stress in the way that I do. It's really overwhelming sometimes. It starts to piss me off if I think about it too much. It's really unfair. Now, if you're watching this on a recording, you can hit pause and journal about your stress, but for those of us live, we will just keep going. And we're going to move our tapping point to the inside of your eyebrow. You can do both eyebrows or 1, and gently tapping and repeating after me. Even though I feel this stress, I do love and accept myself. And then we're going to move to the temple outside of the eye. Even though I get overwhelmed, I totally accept myself. And then we move to under the eye, right at the top of the cheekbone. I wonder if maybe there's a message in this stress for me. And then we move under the nose. Is it possible there are details I'm not seeing? And then to the chin. Maybe I do have some control over how I feel about it. And then just below the 2 collarbones, I can still feel this stress sitting in my body. And then I want you to take your whole hand and put it where you feel that stress, whether it's your chest, your shoulders, your neck, your gut, your back, and just hold it there. And repeat after me. Does this stress just need some attention? Can I focus on it with love instead of anger? I'm going to send love to that stress in my body right now. It actually feels a bit, fill in the blank, lighter, softer. And then I want you to take a moment to just ask that stress sitting in your body if it has a message for you. And just listen to whatever pops into your mind. And it's okay if it's just silence, just sit with it. Again, if you're watching a recording, you can pause and journal about what this message is. Good, and then we'll bring our tapping back to the inside of the eyebrow. You can do both or one. I honor how I feel, and I'm not afraid to listen to my body. On the temple. Paying attention to the stress in my body allows me to feel more ease. Under the eye. My body doesn't actually have to let the stress take over. Under the nose. I can bring a sense of relaxation despite the stress. And then down to the chin. I feel calm wash over my entire body. Under the collarbones. I notice my stressful thoughts and I send love to them. And then just below your armpit, about an inch below, a couple inches, right on the brow line, tap there. It is safe to release those thoughts for now. And then on top of your head, I don't need to have all the answers right now. The inside of the eye. I can be peaceful even before anything changes. Outside of the eye. I am open to new ideas to handle this situation. Under the nose, I can handle stress while my body remains calm. And to the chin, my body's really smart. Under the collarbones, and I am so proud of myself. And then under that armpit, I feel really centered and grounded. On top of the head, every cell in my body feels relaxed. And then take both your hands and put them over your heart and take a deep breath. Pay attention to how you're feeling right now in this moment. And again, rate it on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being totally relaxed, 10 being still totally stressed out. And then just compare your two numbers. If you feel like journaling about the difference, you are welcome to do that too. And I would just like to thank you all for participating, and much gratitude to Crystal for inviting me here to meet you all today. I feel very blessed. And I'm really looking forward to watching the rest of the speakers. Namaste.
Thank you. Namaste. Thank you, Jill. That was beautiful. I have to say, I let myself think about a situation that I've been in and going through, and I wanted to go 10, and then I was like, well, no, maybe 8. This is an 8. By the end, I was like, I feel like it's a 3 or a 4. And it's not that the situation has changed, but it's that it's my nervous system reminded me, and that's what's so beautiful. You did working with parts in another way, where you really allowed us to communicate with our own body and to almost see. Sometimes it really gives us relief to realize there's a me and there's the body, and the body is holding me, and the body is, it's beautiful. So thank you so much for that, Jen. We're going to be welcoming. Yeah, thank you. God, isn't this amazing, ladies? I know we're running a tiny bit over, but that's okay, because I also allowed for different breaks in the day that I was like, I'm probably not really going to be speaking much in those 5 minutes, but I gave little breaks. So just know that we are on time. We're exactly where we need to be. And I'm so grateful for all of you for being here. We're getting ready for Melody to come on now. Melody is our most recent, our most recent graduate. of our personal empowerment coach certification. And Melody, I loved when I got to know Melody, speak with Melody, spend time with Melody. There's Melody.
Yes, I'm here.
Melody. And Melody, it's my fault. I don't know why I keep saying Woodward. And then I'm like, it's Woodard. It's Woodard. It's not Woodward.
I answered to both of them, though.
Well, we got Melody here now, ladies, and we're running tight. So I'm turning it right over to Melody. You've got the floor.
Thank you. Can you hear me? Because I can't hear you, but okay.
You're good. I muted myself.
Okay, perfect. Okay.
Now.
Okay, great. Hi, everyone. My name is Melody Woodard, and I reside outside of Atlanta, Georgia. And I am married, been married for 35 years. We have 3 children, and we have a godson who's like a son. And he and his wife have a 2-year-old, so we're kind of grandparents. So we're so excited about that. And I am very grateful to the SWAT community and to Crystal for just allowing me to be here. I love the program. And so I'm very grateful, very grateful. So today I want to talk to you about my journey. And my journey started like a powerless human being. And they were propelled by limiting beliefs. And now I've evolved into this woman who has great beliefs that she can create whatever she wants to create. So I'm excited about sharing that with you. So it started with me being in a strict religion growing up. And in fact, I'm going to take you back there. I'm in the church and I'm a young girl and I'm sitting there and I could hear the minister say, women should be silent in the church. It's not permitted for them to speak. And that even meant amen. And if any woman has a question, she should ask her husband at home. And I'm sitting there, I'm looking at all the women in the church, and they all seem to be in agreement with it, including my mom. So that's kind of how I was raised. And that put me in a box, and I felt like I didn't have a voice. And I'm one who typically likes to hide. I'm the type of person, I could help everybody succeed, and I'm back here, even though I've really helped all these people. And I started thinking it's just time for Melody to wake up and to come out of this box because I want to enjoy my life as well. And being in a box, and I always say I put myself in a box. Nobody put me in a box because I like to take responsibility for my own life. But it caused some other issues as well. So you fast forward, I'm sitting on my bed one day and I think, I kind of feel like there's some kind of a war going on within me. There's Big Melody who says, go do what you want to do. What do you want to do? Be adventurous, be a trailblazer. And then there's Little Melody inside saying, no, play it safe. Just stay safe. You don't want to do all these things. And I started to feel that tug of war. So I started to have these conversations with myself. And I was still kind of religious, but not in my old religion that I was in, but still religious. And so it just helped me to have these conversations with myself that, Houston, we have a problem. There's something that's going on there. And so I just started to look around, peek around, and I started learning about energy. And that's something I would never do before because guess what? It was considered like not spiritual, not religious. And I was kind of going into an area that was kind of like taboo. But I started learning about this stuff and it was fascinating. And I said, let's keep this going. So another time I'm in my doctor's office and Melody, who's been pretty much healthy for many decades, I eat organic, plant-based food, eat some fish, I meditate and I exercise. So I had been dealing with high blood pressure for many years. And I walk into my doctor's office and he says, Miss Woodard, I need to let you know, I don't understand it. But now you have diabetes type 2. You have non-alcoholic cirrhosis of the liver. and you're starting to get some heart disease. He says, I know how you eat. I know what you do. I don't understand it. So they wanted to put me, and if I cry, guys, just get it, okay? They wanted to put me on more medicine. I'm not a medicine taker. So I told them, I said, I'll do this, and then I'll figure out what I need to do, because I know that how I eat and exercise, it's not the problem. And I went home and I started to really think about this. I said, you've been hiding for many years. You've been in a box for many years. You haven't been authentic to your true self for many years. That's when I started connecting the dots. It felt like my body was just turning on itself because I wasn't standing up and speaking the truth, and I continued to live under this box. So I find out about Crystal's course, and even in the course, I still hid. It was something about it. I'm there, I do what I need to do, but I just really don't come out. I just kind of hide and sit back. And I just said, I don't want to do that anymore. In fact, when I got this invitation, I said, this is my time. This is my time to shine. This is my time to speak up, to come out of that box. And so that I started to do. So during the course, I learned about Dr. David Hawkins, that map of consciousness, which was very interesting to me. And I saw at the bottom where guilt and shame, that's where I was parked for most of my life, because when you grow up religious, a lot of times you're trying to obey all the things you should, and it's almost like you can't. So you end up feeling guilty, and then there's a lot of shame there. And I started to really look at that, and I got that my emotions were running my life. Like these emotions, this is why I'm having all these health challenges. These emotions are running my life. And so as I dove into Crystal's course more and more, I really saw one of the things that really helped me was the grieving process, the letter writing. And I started writing letters, guys, to individuals, organizations, religion, like all of that. And sometimes I might write more than one letter to the same person or the same group. But I was grieving, and it was from that wounded little girl, not from an empowered person, but from that wounded little girl, the child that was wounded. And when I tell you, it helped. Oh my gosh. And then you burn the letters. So essentially what was going on is that you're full of grief. My body was full of all of this and all of this emotion. And when you write it, it's like you're transferring that energy to the paper, and then you burn it. And it was such a relief for me. That's one of the things that when I coach women, I usually start them out with that, because it was such a life-changing experience for me that I still do to this day. Did it a couple weeks ago, so it works. The other thing that really touched me in the program was the story of the Golden Buddha. And I'm going to give you the Reader's Digest, but it was transformational for me. There's this, it was in Thailand, very true story, 1757. The Burmese army was going to invade there, and the monks knew that. And so they had this expensive Buddha that was worth millions and millions of dollars. And so what they did was they covered this golden Buddha with clay and paint and plaster to hide it. And so when they did that, guess what? The Burmese army didn't bother it. It worked. However, because the monks were all slaughtered, nobody knew. They couldn't tell anybody because they were dead. And so this stayed around for years. 200 years later, 1957, they're moving their monastery to another area, and they're moving this statue. And as they move the statue, they notice that there's some chips in it, and they see some gold kind of fluttering there. And guess what? They start to chisel. They cut, they chisel, they do all of that. And underneath was this 5.5 5.5 tons of a statue that was very valuable. And ladies, that's how I look at our lives. Like, we are that golden Buddha. And I usually use that in my coaching programs as well, because when women get who we really are, how valuable we really are, it's a game changer. So I have gone through a lot of transformation, a lot of programs. I am very grateful for this course. So some of the things that I've done since I've been in the program is I did an energy class online, and I coached women how to move the stuck emotion, stuck energy, all the same, in their bodies, because energy is designed to move. It's not designed to be stagnant. So if you have pain or discomfort or something in one area, it's typically stuck energy. It's there before you actually feel the physical pain. So I did a class on that, and some of the women actually went and started their own programs. So they were empowered with that. Another thing that I did is I did a weekly conversation with some of the women who were a part of the religious group that I was in, who were stuck, especially at that level of guilt and shame. And we would do weekly conversations, and they were empowered. Some to look outside and do a certain type of counseling that they would never do, just coming out of the box for themselves, which was awesome. I also co-created a podcast with one of my friends, which is called The Looking Place. And basically what we do is we teach people how to go within using their intrinsic power of awareness. Your awareness, you being the driver of your life. Again, teaching people to go within. And my last baby is this Unstoppable Within. And what I'm doing is I'm teaching women all over the world, again, to go within. You have the answers inside of you. We were taught, you go outside of yourself. You go talk to somebody. Not saying that you shouldn't get advice or anything like that. They're not the be all for you. You are, your voice is. Your awareness on the inside, your intuition on the inside. Don't ignore that. I ignored it for years. And I feel like that's what got me into the state where I was, even with my health. But now I've come out of that box, and I'm listening to that intuition. I'm listening to the God inside of me, as some people say, because we have that. We have the power, and we're unstoppable within. Thank you. And thank you so much, Crystal. I appreciate it.
Yes, yes, yes. I'm so excited to be back. Melody, you're amazing. You are such a powerful speaker, and your voice is, that's the voice of woman energy. Let me bring us together here side by side. Yeah, that was absolutely beautiful. I will make sure that our gals are able to connect with you. You know, what I love, well, there's so much I love, but I also was raised. And you know, it's interesting because my father passed recently, well, not recently, it sometimes feels recently. And he would say, you weren't raised in the church. And I was like, Dad, where were you? You weren't in the church, but I was raised in the church. I was there every Sunday. Like you weren't there, but I was sent to Bible camp every summer. And it was really hard trying to merge. I felt like these two, this idea of this man in the sky that and this idea of like this power within. And I love the way you've done it. You've done it in a way where you really are empowering women, because we are still our communities. And I know where you live in Georgia. I mean, I can't say it I don't mean to sound, but I just know in the South, there's a church on every corner.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
There's a church on every corner. So you saying like, I'm just going to burn down you can't burn down your life. You can't burn down all your relationships, because you have this other way of thinking. And what I love is that you really have helped bridge the divide that's happening in the world. And it's happening everywhere, but it is really happening in the United States right now. And I'm here in Canada, and the United States is a very powerful country. And we all look to American women, and we do. And we look to these women in Western countries right now to say, who is guiding us? So Melody, thank you for stepping up. Thank you for stepping into that role. You heeded the call, you took it and you ran with it. And now we all get to benefit by you and your teaching. So thank you so much for being here today. And I look forward to more conversations with you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you're amazing. So ladies, wow, the time is just moving. I've got some kombucha now. I don't want to leave because I want to listen to every single conversation. So I want to remind you that if you do need a break, scoot out, get yourself back. You can always watch the replay. I'm so grateful to everyone who's been on. We've had a big audience that has been here and hanging tight with us for a while. And now we have our mystic. We have our mystic coming right after our Christian. We got our witchy lady. And I love that empowerment equals choice. And you get to love what you love and do what you do and love your people and love the things that speak to you. And I want to turn it over to Heather now because Heather has been a really special soul that's come into my world and into the world of SWAT. And she just sort of sprinkles her little magic and she doesn't even know who she is yet. But I see it. It's unfolding. And I'm going to turn the floor over to Heather now.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Can you hear me? Are we good?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just want to make sure before I start talking, and that'd be bad. So, first off, can I just say how amazing every single person has been and everyone watching? This is one of my passions, is to have women come together and have a voice and celebrate. And I just am so thankful for everyone here today. So that's first off. As Crystal said, my name is Heather. I live in Virginia. I am blessed with 4 boys. I am surrounded by male energy all the time. And that's kind of my story, is that I've been a massage therapist, Reiki master teacher for over 20 years. I recognize this need for mind, body, and spirit since I was little. I was blessed to be surrounded by my mom's side of the family, very intuitive, witchy people. We would sit around and, believe it or not, do tarot cards. They even did cards readings with regular deck of cards, like, kings, aces, and all that, which I never learned, but I thought it was so amazing. So I was blessed to be around these women that were so intuitive, and there was no hiding that. And my dad even joked around, called me a witch in training. And then about a couple of years ago, I said, Dad, maybe I'm not a witch in training anymore, but it was still, that was my life. That's what I grew up. And getting older, you start realizing, like, should I be a witch? Is witch a bad word? Is being intuitive a bad word? Are people going to think I'm crazy? And it was funny because when I start telling people that I did tarot cards, or I'm really good with dreams, or I'm a clairvoyant, or I'm an empath, they're like, ooh, tell me more. And can you tell me about this? Or can you pull a card for me? Or da-da-da. And it got really, it helped me believe that I knew what I was talking about. Because there are different intuitive sides. There's clairvoyance, which is seeing, claircognizance, which is knowing, which is a hard one because you just have to believe. Sentience, which is feeling, that's more like the empath. So like if I'm with you, I physically, as when I do Reiki, I physically can feel what is going on with you. And that sets me aside when I do Reiki or I do body work, because I can feel that trauma. I can feel it resonate in your body. So earlier, with one of the other speakers, we're talking about it does hold into our bodies. So if someone comes to me and all of a sudden they're like, oh, my shoulders all of a sudden really hurt. And I'm like, well, did some trauma happen? Did something happen? And they're like, oh my God, yes. And so then you start working on it. And that's sometimes where the relief comes, the crying comes. And then you can journal and you can write, and the burning and all that is so magical. Everything that Crystal has taught me and stuff that I've learned blends so well. And I guess that's kind of where I'm kind of at, is that I want women to know that you can be intuitive. You can open up that feminine wisdom. And being a woman surrounded by men, like I grew up with my brother, my cousin, my dad, my mom worked late. I became a caregiver at a young age, always been a caregiver. Then being a mom of 4 boys, I crave this woman's sisterhood. Like that is my goal. Like, I feel like nowadays, I coin myself this, and I'm sure others do. I say I'm a hot mess, like a hot mess most days, because I'm running around doing kid stuff, cooking, cleaning, working. I have all these hats on, and it kind of makes you overstimulated and crazy. And when we don't have this womanhood, when we don't have this sister conversation to know that we're not crazy, we just kind of spiral in a downward place. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I've been there. And when I met Crystal, again, I've met her through people like Colette Baron Reed. And I was like, oh my God, she's speaking my language. She's talking about how women can learn how to up level, how we can internally work on ourselves and then bring us all together and support. And that is so powerful. That is what's missing today. I just believe that. I just think that even like a friend across the street, she's a good friend of me. Do I see her often? No, because I'm running around. So this stuff is so, so important. And in the past year, I've really grown into owning this intuitive stuff. And I even went further into creating an oracle deck, which has been one of my goals forever. I'm very creative. I love making jewelry, doing everything. And so I wanted to share with you that that everyone has capability of doing whatever you want at any point. And sometimes the creative outlet is what we need to heal. So when I created this deck, this mystical oracle deck, it was kind of like using my empowerment coaching and then my intuitive skills. And it was almost like a healing thing for myself, and I hope for others. So before I jumped on, I pulled cards. Now, as you can tell, my energy is usually really, really high. And so I had jumper cards, which happens a lot. So cards just flew out of it, and I have 2 of them. And then I asked a third one as clarification. And you guys, Colette Baron says this all the time, and I'm going to say it right now. You cannot make this shit up. You just can't. Okay. So the first card I got was Embrace Feminine Power. Now, this is all about intuitive wisdom, sisterhood, believing in yourself, going deeper into that feminine side. And it's just, I think we take that for granted. Again, me being a tomboy, being around boys, being in a masculine society where we have to work, we forget to be feminine. And in, again, the past probably couple months, I started owning a little bit more of this, like wearing cuter stuff, doing my nails. And that's just not the feminine aspect, but the feminine aspect is like connecting with that intuitive moon cycle self. I mean, we're regulated with hormones, and that's something with me with the perimenopause, maybe some other people, but it is real, totally, totally real. So when you start embracing being a female, honoring that cycle with the moon, with your intuitive wisdom, this connects. This just makes you feel whole, and you have that guidance that, again, you're not feeling crazy because now you're connected, right? So that was the first jumper card. The second jumper card, guys, practice self-care, okay? This is like my jam. It's bathtub, flowers, water. Water is healing, okay? Catherine mentioned about taking the shower and purging. And I have to honor that because I lost my dad a couple months ago, and it was unexpected. And I remember taking a shower the next day with that water pouring down, and I just let myself be in that moment. And sometimes self-care is just letting yourself cry. It's just letting yourself curl up in a blanket with a hoodie and saying, I'm going to take a nap. It doesn't have to be, oh, I have to go get my nails done. I have to get my hair done. It could just be honoring what you feel right now, being on this call, listening to these women. I mean, we're all in this sacred place. And so honoring time to practice self-care, it could be 5 minutes. It could be lighting a candle. Like, one of my things that I try to tell a lot of my clients is find one thing that brings you joy. And at night, I have this thing that I always light a candle. It just kind of makes me feel calmer and relaxed. So maybe that's something you guys could do. Just find one thing that you could incorporate, starting today. And then I pulled one more card to kind of pull it all together, and it's Embrace Gratitude. So it's a beautiful bouquet. And I think so many people forget, I say, to stop and smell the flowers. Be in the moment. Be happy. Like, I feel like I'm so silly because I have a degree in wildlife science too. So I love nature. And I'll be driving and I'm the one who sees the bird flying, the eagle, or I'll see the beautiful sunset. And I'm like, do people not take a moment to honor this? Take that time. Be thankful that you get to see the sunset. It doesn't have to be like this amazing thing. It could be just you see someone in a wheelchair and you're like, oh, I'm so grateful that I can walk today. You know? So I think these cards are so perfect for today's call. I mean, tap into your wisdom, honor self-care, and gratitude. And I have a bunch of more cards in here. Right now they're on Deckable. It's an online site. And if you reach out to me or go onto it, I can help you find it. I am probably going to get these to be printed, but I actually love these cards. They're so magical. And I guess my final thing is what I want to say is that going with the cards and everything, every woman is intuitive. We have to learn how to tap into that. That is our wisdom. We need that. And then every woman needs a sisterhood. So if SWAT is what you're feeling, like a lot of us have, absolutely connect, because you need to not feel like you're crazy and alone in this hot mess world. We're not. I mean, back in the time, we used to all hang out in tents and just have our moments. So this is our moment. This is modern day moments, right? And the last one is just that you are worthy, and just be that badass female that we all know you guys can, because it is a work in progress. But I'll tell you, like, having these group of people has made my life so much easier. And I celebrate it with all of you. And I'm so thankful. So thank you, Crystal, for all this today.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Heather. Okay, I'm going to have to tell you now, you have to watch your segment back. You have to watch yourself back, and you have to see who you are and what I've always seen, and you're going to get it now. You're going to get it. And I can't wait to buy those cards. Can you believe, like, literally Heather went through the Empowerment Coach certification and then created her own magical cards. And I'm like, Heather, we could start using these cards. Like, this could be like the cards we use in our empowerment coaching. So, like, you've got to, ladies, what I'm saying is action. You've got to have the courage to take the step. And Heather did it in a way where she didn't have to spend tons of money because it's on Deckables. She got to create, and if somebody wants it, they can hit it and it will print. So kudos to you, Heather. You're starting it. You're doing it. Action is the antidote to despair. We have to sometimes just step in and do the thing that feels hard, that, you know, but it's like choosing our heart. And that's what you're doing. You're choosing now how you want to show up, and it's absolutely magical. Thank you, Heather.
Thank you.
Of course, ladies, we'll make sure that you have access to Heather's cards, a link if you're interested in downloading and getting a copy of her cards. But yeah, isn't this amazing? Now, ladies, I have to give everyone just a little heads up if you're all here, and I see a lot of women that are here in the chat. I'm seeing the numbers here. I want to let you know, as Amber is just coming on. Amber! I just want to let you know, ladies, just before Amber gets started, that I have gotten a message that our webinar jam classroom here might be closing down on us after 3 hours, not 4. So I just want to give everyone the heads up that we are doing some figuring out right now how to create another room if we have to, that we're all going to jump over into at the 3-hour mark. But just everyone stay where you are. But I'm just letting our speakers know, those of you that are after 3 o'clock, that we may have to do a little finaglings or whatever that word is. With that being said, I would love to do a quick intro for Amber. Amber has a special place in my heart. She's like a Catherine to me. She's got a little bit of that. Like, I love her so much. She's like my girl. And I will say that, you know, getting to know Amber and her story, it has not been easy. And when I read, and I don't even think she even gets it. Sometimes, ladies, we normalize the trauma we've been through because it's just all we ever experienced. And learning and reading, getting to know Amber and where she was and what she has created and her beautiful life that she's manifested now with love. I want you to know that it doesn't matter where you came from or what you've been through. Yes, you don't have the power when you're a child, but you do have the power when you're an adult. So I'm going to let Amber Lansdale take the stage now, and we're all going to enjoy Miss Amber.
You can hear me. Perfect. Oh my gosh. So first of all, can we just take a minute and just feel the energy in this room, these amazing speakers, and just, I feel like I need to shake it off. Somebody shake it off with me. All right. So I'm going to take a deep breath too. Everyone take a deep breath with me. Oh my gosh, it feels so stinking good to be here. So as Crystal said, my name is Amber Lansdale. I am a Master Empowerment Coach certified through the SWAT Institute. And I am just so excited to be here. I think on the schedule, it said that I was going to talk about finding inner peace. And guys, I got to tell you, I was listening to my body and I was listening to my soul, and I have a whole other story for you. So kind of bear with me here, okay? So I'm going to start off with, I just got off of a retreat and a conference. And so you guys are getting all of that post-retreat conference energy, which is just like radiating through me, if you can't tell. But part of the retreat that we were on, we did what's called the Vulnerability Project. And just a little bit about that is we all sat down and we were asked to write down something that we've never told anyone before, or something that we haven't told a lot of people of, something that is like really deep down inside of us that we need to get out. And then we anonymously went up and we posted it up so that everybody could read it and hold space. They didn't know who wrote it, but we put it up there and just held space for everyone. And what was so magical about that is like, I knew that I wasn't alone. I mean, I always kind of knew that I wasn't alone, but like to just see it was so empowering. So then anyways, so we all sat back down, we go through the circle, and now we're asked to write down on a piece of paper how we truly feel and visualize ourselves, or who we truly feel that we are. And if we can't, how do we want people to see us? So we're going around the room and everyone's passing the microphone around. And they're like, I am love, I am light. And I love that. And I think it's beautiful. And it gets to me and I'm like, I don't know if I understood the assignment. So I grab my paper, I stand up, I have my microphone, and I very proudly say, I am a badass bitch with a strong mission and a story to change lives by telling my story and inspiring others to do the same. Guys, after that is when I got the email from Catherine that I was officially invited to come here and speak. And so now I want to tell you a little bit more about my story. As we left, everyone in the room, there was 25 of us, and everyone wanted to hold on to their badass bitch energy. And at the end of the conference or the events, we're going around and everyone's saying, I'm leaving here today with my badass bitch energy. I started something. So my coach asked me, I am working with a one-on-one coach, and she goes, on your way home on the airplane, I want you to think about, what does it mean to be a badass bitch? Why do you want to be her? And so now I'm doing this all in the raw. So now I want to read to you my answer. So I do have my phone here, but I want to read to you everything word for word, what I put. Why do I want to be a badass bitch? What's the story behind it? When I close my eyes, I see a badass bitch as this amazing, radiant woman that takes no shit, but owns her own shit. She's completely and unapologetically herself. She lives a life on the edge of greatness and is always testing her limits in a good way. She refuses to let anyone or anything dim her light. She is confident in her abilities and in herself. She creates boundaries and sticks to them. They protect her, her energy, and her peace.
She knows her worth, she speaks her truth, and she takes control of her destiny while inspiring others to do the same. She is fierce yet compassionate, strong yet empathetic. She embodies balance of grace and grit as she navigates life with purpose and passion. I embody her, and she embodies me. Why do I want to be her? I want to be her because my little girl was stripped away from her innocence at 7 years old. She was told to keep her mouth shut, that no one would believe her if she told anyone. That little girl unknowingly carried shame and guilt with her for most of her life. She tried to pretend that it never happens. People who love you don't hurt you, right? If it wasn't wrong, then why wasn't I allowed to talk about it? Why couldn't I tell anyone? Be a good girl. Do what you're told. Don't ask questions. Don't talk back. This little girl left her body and was no longer in touch with what was right or what was wrong. She did what she was told, even if she thought it was wrong. She didn't ask questions. As she got older, she allowed men to use and abuse her because she felt like she was no good. She felt disgusting. She didn't feel that she deserved love, even though she so deeply desired it. She thought maybe if she loved broken people, broken men, the broken ones, she could take care of them and maybe they would love her back. She stayed in relationships for far too long. She gave her body, mind, and soul away. She cried many tears and at one point questioned her own existence in this world. Maybe if I just run this red light and that truck hits me and I go out of this world, all of my pain will disappear. Drugs and alcohol were temporary fixes that became more and more frequent. She was put on antidepressants that amplified the feelings that she was having, and they would make her sleep most of the days. It wasn't until her late 30s when she was ass deep into her personal empowerment coaching certification that she finally realized at 7, she was sexually molested by her cousin. Holy shit. There it is. There's the name for her shame. There's a reason for her shame. She wasn't just making this up. She always knew deep down inside that what happened to her was wrong. There's a reason for her belief patterns and why she kept attracting the relationships that she did. She found herself in circumstances that always left her feeling empty. When I think of that little girl, I embrace her fully. It was never her fault. She didn't know any better, and she just wanted to be loved. She is me, and I am her. As I heal myself by loving every part of me, the broken, the unlikable, I give my wounded child her voice back, and I start to realize it's time to go back to that place of innocence, that place of bliss and curiosity, to live in a world of endless possibilities and complete happiness. It's time to come back to my body and listen to its needs and desires. I owe this to myself and to my inner child. My badass bitch is a warrior. She's a protector. She protects my inner child by placing boundaries and by fully being present in her life and listening to her body's needs. She has freed my inner child from her shame and her guilt, so her inner child can go back to being a kid again. My badass bitch has brought me inner peace by no longer allowing my outside circumstances to control my thoughts and actions. She speaks her truth. She sets examples for others to let their voices be heard, to heal and embrace their own badass bitch. So that is in action, not allowing your story to control you, but for you to control your story. Thank you so much, you guys, for holding space. I did not read any of the comments because I didn't want to start crying.
Well, we were all crying. So thank you, Amber. You're so brave. And we needed that. We all needed to hold space, not just for you, but for each other. And we all got to name the shame that we've all had put on us, and it's not ours to carry. And yeah, it's really powerful when you realize that what you went through was abuse. It's just unbelievable how many of us even protect the abusers, the family secrets, the keeping quiet. And when you decide to be the truth teller in your family, you can be the one ostracized. So I see you, and I hold that little 7-year-old girl too, in my little girl too. And that's what it does for me. And when I'm listening to you, it reminds me that like we have a job now, ladies, like our mother energy that we think we got because we need to take care of everybody else, even if you don't have children. We have a lot of us have a lot of mother energy, and it's realizing that inner mother that we have is not meant to protect and provide for everybody else. She is meant to protect and provide your little girl. And when that little girl feels held and supported by your own inner mother, your woman energy effortlessly, the essence of you emerges. You don't have to work for her. You just have to let these inner parts know they're safe and loved. And you've done it.
Yeah.
You've done it. So,
yeah.
Amber, thank you so much. Ladies, we just keep on bringing it. And I know some of you might feel like, wow, I got to go. But how do you go? How do you leave this? I am going to give you all a heads up, though. At 1:55, just because I can't believe we have to do this, but I'm really wanting to make sure our speakers know. So Ellen, you're going to be here with us. Nancy, you're going to be here with us. But our last 3 speakers, can't believe it. And our bonus gifts and and all the stuff that's happening, you are going to be getting an email at some point in the next 5-10 minutes, and sometime around just before the top of the 3-hour mark, we're going to click that email and we're going to all move over into another room that allows us more time. I didn't realize that this platform only allows for 3 hours, and Madeline is on with them right now, and they want $5,000 if I'm going to stay on for 4. So we're not doing that. We're going to just move to a new room. But in the meantime, look at our priestess who we've brought on, Miss Ellen Irvine. She has the Crohn's Council. She is going to teach us all how to embrace our inner crone. That is the embodiment of the mother, the daughter, the woman, into the wisdom of who we are once we hit a certain age. I'm not going to say anything else. I'm going to turn it over to Miss Ellen Irvine. Hey, Ellen, you got the floor, girl.
Well, thank you very much. And I just want to, say that this has been an amazing event. And I feel very blessed to be part of it with everyone. And a lot of you I know so well now. And I'm happy to be in the sisterhood. Really am. Anyways, I guess I'll get at this. And hopefully I don't go too far over. Because I can tell a story. I mean, if any of you know me, I can talk for a long time. So it is my pleasure to be here with you today. And as Crystal said, I'm Ellen Irvine, and I am the founder of the Crohn's Council. It's a safe space for women to awaken their magical gifts that have been hidden. And I provide spiritual empowerment coaching to women over 50 years old to encourage them to be brave and to come out of the spiritual closet. I've been retired from my 9-to-5 job since 2011. And during my time, up to now, I've taken many certification courses to find what it was I've been called to do. At age 64, I was engaged in a class to learn a modality to heighten my ability to read oracle cards with Colette Baron-Reid. Through this course and my teacher, I felt inspired to finally achieve one of my long-standing dreams. I realized I wanted to be self-employed. So the next question was, what do I want to be? Or what do I want to do? And is being an oracle card reader in my cards? But what of all my years of experience, my innate talents, my divine gifts? What about my ability to talk to people, especially women, to encourage them to feel better about themselves, to stand up for themselves? I've been a leader, a teacher, a union negotiator, an advocate for women's rights. I've lived and had years of training in what many people call woo-woo for more than 35 years. I've been a young bride, having children while still growing up myself. I've been divorced twice. I've been a single mother. And all these experiences and the knowledge I've gained, it must count for something. Why else would the divine have me go through these experiences and take all the chances and changes in my life? I was being called for more than to read oracle cards for people. I must tell others of my ordeals and how I found the ability to stand up and move on with my life. I must continue to advocate for women who are more vulnerable and that I am or do and possess the courage or the tools to take a risk and jump into the unknown so they too can survive. I want to encourage women to be who they innately are, not what society or the patriarchy has told them that this is all they can be. I want to help women find their authentic, true selves and take their own spiritual path, whatever that might be. So I dug deep inside myself and I asked, what am I to do? And I intuitively saw my path as being a woman's coach. So my next step of my journey, I started training to be a certified women's empowerment coach with the SWAT Institute and with Crystal Andrus Morissette. Consequently, I would heal my inner self, heal my emotional wounds, and discover who I truly was. I intuitively knew my niche was to encourage women who were over 50, that there is more to life than just waiting to grow old and finally die. I believe older women have wisdom, experience, and lessons that can be shared with other women, especially younger women. I want to see the women's movement reawakened. I want to grow a community of crones to keep their torches lit and to light up the torches for the younger women to surge forward. I want to see more brave women step forward and bring equity and safety to this world. This is not a pipe dream, but it is my dream. Now at age 68, I'm a master empowerment coach for women to empower themselves and heal their inner wounds. I am a professional spiritual coach, a trained oracle guide, a crone, a wise woman, a witch, a priestess, and a businesswoman who wishes to live a better life. You see, I had a dream, and I took steps to make it happen. And I'm not finished yet, not by far. This is why I want to help every one of you to continue to dream more courageous dreams. Your life isn't over yet. You're only in your midlife. There are women still growing and going strong in their 80s and 90s who are manifesting new dreams every day. and so can you. We need to realize that the power of a dream will enable you to achieve whatever your ultimate why in life is. By the age of 25, most people have lost their dreams and fall into a rut. From age 25 to 65, people generally go back and forth to work and say to themselves, I wish, if only I could have, if only I knew then what I know now, and other numerous lamentations as to why they do not feel fulfilled in life. The key in life to feeling fulfilled is to simply listen to your inner spirit, your intuition, and make your daily work in life something that you love to do and will help you achieve your dreams. And the key word in that sentence is dreams. To many people, when asked, where do you see yourself in 2 to 5 years from now? And they give the answer, just let me get to the end of the weekend. Or the underlying reason that they don't know where they're going to be is because they have no dreams. And this can be extremely frightening. As a professional spiritual and empowerment coach, my ultimate outcome is to empower women to find their why in life, to catapult them to attain their dreams. As an overall population, 95% of adults have so many friends who will tell them every reason why they should never try to succeed and try to accept their life just as it is. You need to stop right now. You need to get rid of those friends. Take a personal inventory of your life and ask yourself three changing questions. What is my why in life? So why do I get up every morning? Who is my support team, my real friends? And where do I see myself in 2 to 5 years from now? When you answer these questions, you need to be honest with yourself and tell yourself the truth, because you know the truth will set you free. The key to living fulfilled life is waking up each day with a driving desire to achieve your why. The key to winning in life is to realize life decisions are challenging but very beneficial. Bring your dreams back to life. Apart from wanting to be somewhere else other than where you are, which is an escapism act, that's like a drug that only gives temporary relief for chronic pain. People want to be somewhere else. Most people today also live by a philosophy of someday. That allows them to manipulate time. In my magical world, yes, you can manipulate time and you can bend time, but not everybody does and can. So what I'm trying to say is people make up excuses to get out of their comfort zones. And the problem is that both the someday and the somewhere does not exist and someday never comes, although you keep hoping that it does. This can be very disempowering and is responsible for a lot of disappointment and frustration for a lot of people. The truth, however, is that right now is all you've got. Tomorrow's never promised to you, and learning to fully live in and for the moment is a vital distinction to make in creating a great life. Being grateful does not mean that you lose your drive or purpose, but allows you to slow down and really enjoy the ride, like my sister Heather mentioned earlier. Not only is it healthy to want more from life, but it is also required to be truly fulfilled. And knowing where you are is critical in getting where you want to be. So, being honest with yourself and stop making excuses only to make yourself feel better. A little pain can be very useful, as it will at least move you into action. And there is always something you can do right now to turn your ideas into reality. There is always one small step that you can take. So today I'm going to teach you as much as I can in this short time we have together, but you do realize that we have limited amount of time. So before I conclude today, I want to at least leave with you is a way for you to build that intuition muscle that we all have without having to go to the gym. And as we get older, we often ignore that little voice. We turn to logic and focus on being practical. But we've experienced a lot over the years, and there is some part of our brain that has accumulated a tremendous amount of wisdom. So listening to that little voice can be a good thing. So try these techniques, and hopefully you will be able to build that intuition muscle. So first off is meditate for a few minutes each day. One characteristic of intuition is that it has a soft voice that most of the time is not easy to hear. It can be challenging to notice it if our minds are busy with other things. So meditation is a great way to clear the mind and make room for our intuition to come shining through. A simple technique to clear your mind is simply to count your breath and attempt to stay focused on your breathing, avoiding letting your mind wander. Number 2, record your dreams. Our dreams can be full of useful information. Many psychologists believe that we work out our challenges in our sleep. It's difficult for most of us to remember our dreams. Studies show that we average 5 dreams a night, and most of us are lucky enough to remember 1. After you get in bed, tell yourself that you want to remember your dreams in the morning. So keep thinking to yourself until you fall asleep. So keep a notebook and a pen beside your bed. A voice recording app on your phone can work as well. As soon as you wake up, start writing. Dreams tend to fade from memory quickly. Review your dreams and see if there might be some information that you can use for your life. 3, follow your intuition. The surest way to shut down your intuition is to never follow it. So start using it in situations that have minor importance. It could be as simple as taking a walk and asking yourself which way you should turn at each intersection or fork in the road. Show your intuition that you're listening and you're responding. You'll be more likely to hear it in the future. Busy your mind, and many people will find that their best ideas come while their mind is busy, not too busy. And some examples commonly cited include walking, driving, taking a shower, listening to the rain, and think about times you've had a great idea. Try to put yourself in similar situations. 4 is keep a journal. Take a few minutes each day and write in a journal. Sometimes putting things down on paper opens a floodgate of ideas and inspiration. Study what you've written You're likely to find insights you haven't considered. Keep your journals in a safe place so you'll feel free and comfortable in writing in them honestly. And 5 is being in touch with your intuition can help you identify and solve the challenges in your life that are causing stress. It also releases your imagination and creativity. Your intuition is a great resource, but it's important to nurture it. You start with the small things. When your intuition has proven itself reliable, use it to make your bigger decisions. Intuition is a tether to the subconscious. It's your ultimate source of wisdom and creative energy. Make life easier and richer by you utilizing that resource. So I'm going to finalize today again by just saying thank you very much, and I bless you all and hope that you have a great day for the rest of the day.
You're amazing, Ellen. Thank you so much. And I see your Scottish, what do we call that? Our Scottish
sash.
Sash, just a sash. I thought it was maybe called something else, but I'm a Scottish girl too, so I really appreciate your energy.
Actually, this is my traditional witch robe.
Oh, are you? Is it like? Let's see your arms and let's see what's happening. Our witchy. No, Ellen, you are so inspiring. I know so many women listening right now are like, if Ellen can do it, I can do it too. So thank you for your wisdom. Thank you for, we all, I think it's really important. And I just want to say, Ellen, we all just slowed down just enough to really listen and know that you have a lot of wisdom to share. And this will be the first of many more conversations, I'm sure, we'll be having with Ellen. Ellen, I did put your website in, but it's not coming up. I did look at it last night as well. So just have a quick peek to see why it's not coming up. But I love it.
I'm switching it over, I think. That's
okay. So ladies, if you go to that Crohn's Council that I posted, you're not going to get access to it right now, but that's okay. Ellen, thank you so much. We're going to make sure we get all your info out.
I just want to say one last thing.
Sure.
I'll put a little shout out for myself.
Yeah.
Is that very soon you will be seeing my ebook coming out.
Yay.
That I have dedicated to my mentor, Crystal. And it's called What Would Courage Have You Do?
Oh.
Just to let you know.
Thank you.
Keep your eye out for it.
Thank you. Yes, we will. Let me tell you a little bit about Nancy. Nancy's actually been in my world for many years as well. She is a master empowerment coach. I think Nancy speaks 7 or 8 languages. She is originally from Cape Verde, Africa. She speaks Portuguese and Spanish and holy jumping, she speaks a lot of different languages. Nancy, I'm clicking, I'm accepting, and you don't have to do anything. Just let yourself come into the room. Just let yourself come into the room. So, so Nancy's mission now, she's also a school teacher. She's got 3 great boys. I'm sure it's 3. She's living in Boston, Massachusetts now. She has a very diverse background in creative self-expression, in languages, as I said, in education. She's also a teacher, a master empowerment coach, a mindset cultural coach. She has got a stunning website that I built with Nancy called www.mindsetculturalcoaching.com. Don't go there now, but you're going to want to check it out. And Nancy is going to help us reconnect with our inner badass. What's going on, Nancy? What's happening? Nancy's here. Nancy!
Hi, guys. Can you hear me, Crystal?
Yeah, you've got the light behind you, so it's a little bit hard to see you, but you know what? It's all good. We're just so happy you're here. Let's all take a deep breath. Thank you for rolling with the flow, going with the flow, Nancy. Thank you for just rolling with the punches. We're here. I'm just going to quickly, the more we share, the more we are the same. Well, that's it. Like the more we share, the more we are the same. I am going to let Nancy take over, though. She has So much wisdom. Like I said, Nancy has been in my world for many, many years. We've done a few different projects together, and I know Nancy has such a mission. And today is a day that she's going to be reaching hundreds of people. So let's give the floor over to Nancy now.
Hi, guys. I am so excited to be here with you. I would not be here without, obviously, Crystal and the SWAT journey. So I want to start off by saying that. Forever grateful for that. She has been such a great mentor, coach, friend in my life. And you guys are so blessed to have her also to be able to guide you in your journey. So without further ado, we're going to get started because I know we have a great lineup of other speakers coming. I will introduce myself real quickly again. I am Nancy DePina Rougeau. I am the founder of Mindset Cultural Coaching, and I am a master empowerment coach and educator. I help mothers who may be struggling with time, energy, clarity, to leverage their skills, hone into their passions, and reconnect with their inner badass. So I'm so excited to hear that Amber was talking about the badass bitch, right? Because you know what? We're born badasses, right? And so somewhere along the line, we are taught to not be a badass, but we should forever honor that badass inside of us. And, you know, like Amber said, every word that she said in terms of the definition of badass bitch, yes, I honor that. And with that said, you too can make your own definition of what you think being a badass is, right? Some people feel uncomfortable when they hear the word badass. Don't be afraid of the word badass, right? We want to embrace our sensuality, you know, our power, you know, to uplift others, but first and foremost, to uplift ourselves. Okay. So today I'm going to be touching upon my story, my SWAT journey, and how you too can reconnect with your inner badass using the power of the 3 C's: creativity, connection, and coaching. So when I was a young child, you know, I grew up in a Cape Verdean household. My parents are from the islands of Cape Verde, and I was born in America. So I was blessed to have, you know, the Cape Verdean culture mixed in with the things that I learned being American in the American culture. And I grew up in an environment where my mom was subjected to physical abuse. There was a lot of verbal abuse and physical abuse in my environment. You know, I always felt like I was walking on eggshells. Either, you know, my dad was angry or my mom was feeling fearful. So it was very difficult as a child to understand why I always felt so afraid to speak up. And the reason being that I saw that growing up. My mom, she was told what to do, basically, when to do it, how to do it. She didn't have a voice. She really didn't have a say in her dreams and what she enjoyed doing, or even maybe even thinking about what it meant to be a badass. At some point, she might have been a badass, but when she got into this relationship with my dad, she kind of let it fall by the wayside. She embraced this role of motherhood, but she let everything else drop by the wayside. And so it was one thing that I vowed that as a child, I would do any and everything I had to do to be able to have a voice, to speak my truth, and to be a badass, right? Because I just felt like, why not? Why is it that being a woman, you should feel that you're not able to speak up, you know, feel alive and free to embrace your dreams and goals? And so it was always a mission for me, looking back at that little girl that I saw, you know, at times looking at her mom, feeling so sad, not able to help her in that situation, to say, I'm going to do something one day to help all the little girls in the world, and so that they can be able to live their dreams and live their best lives, because we're all badasses. We were born badass. And so we have a right to live as a badass. And when we die, we're still going to be badasses. Okay. So it was imperative that I do something. And so inside of me, I knew I had this dream to start my own coaching business, because I just felt like there's not enough women out there helping other women empower one another. Too often you hear women putting each other down and, you know, not supporting each other, but judging and criticizing. And so we obviously need to start looking in the mirror and see what we are saying of others. More than likely we are doing, right? Or we are also being in that space without realizing, or we just can't accept the fact that we're not where we want to be. So Crystal and the SWAT Institute allowed me to have a space where I could share feel safe and feel like I wasn't alone, like I wasn't crazy. Okay. And it's so imperative in order for you to heal, in order for you to empower yourself, that you feel comfortable enough to share your truths, your fears. Okay. Because that's how then we can create a safe space, a positive space for our future. And interestingly enough, I have boys, right? I am a mother of boys. And so this work is imperative for them too, because one day they may, when they get married, maybe, right? Or get into a relationship, I want them to see how to treat a woman, right? And how it is important for a woman to always be able to speak up, to stand up for herself and set boundaries and honor them no matter what. Because when we are self-full, everybody else thrives, right? When we are selfless, we're not doing enough for ourselves because we're putting others first all the time. And you can't be selfish all the time, because then we're focusing too much on ourselves. So we need that balance, that woman energy that Crystal often talks about, in order for us to connect with the true essence of our being. And so the power of the 3 C's, guys, is creativity, connection, and coaching. And so creativity is something that is free, okay? Creatively expressing yourself is a great way to connect with your inner badass if you feel like you lost her along the way somewhere, okay? Because it allows you to do the things that you love, you enjoy, that make you feel alive and connected with yourself, which is so important for you to be able to reconnect with your inner badass. And so if it's been a really long time, you haven't done anything for yourself or anything that you truly love to do, give yourself permission to reconnect with that side of you. Think about as a child, what were some things that you loved to do that you did not, hate looking forward to, you looked forward to, in other words, right? So something that I loved to do, and still to this day is one of my go-tos, is dancing and singing. And so if you enjoy to do something along those lines, great. It could be art, it could be gardening, it could be baking. Just think of something you love to do that helps you feel like you are on top of the world, that you are unstoppable. Because guess what? When my dad was being verbally or physically abusive, I went into my room, I put on my music, started singing and dancing, and I felt like I was on top of the world. Yes, as a child, you cannot control what happens to you, but being able to creatively express yourselves allows you to feel like, yes, you have some control. And in that process, you're healing yourself or helping yourself regulate your emotions so that you're able to continue to get through what you may need to get through. Okay. It's about turning your pain into power. Okay. With what God has already given you. There are things that you're really good at, your gifts. Those are your usual creative go-tos. And that's when you feel like a sexy ass, a badass. So just think about what you used to love to do or would love to do and start tapping into that. That's a simple thing, just to reconnect with your inner badass. And then connection, guys. Connection is so key. And that's what the SWAT journey is all about. Connecting you with wonderful, amazing women that are there, that want to connect and support each other, empower each other. Where can you go wrong with SWAT? You can't. It's a blessing. You want to be surrounded by like-minded women. You want to be surrounded by women that are going to celebrate you, not knock you down, not be jealous of you and talk trash about you behind your back. No, you want to be around women that are okay, saying, hey, girl, you look fine. Hey, girl, you successful and I'm happy for you. Okay, let's do this together. Maybe let's start a journey together, create something together, be successful together. That's what you want. But again, connection with others is great, but the most important connection is the connection with yourself. So spend some quiet time with yourself, guys. Don't be afraid to hear what your inner voice is telling you. Okay, meditate, go for a walk, connect with nature. If you pray, pray, because that is the time that you can hear the messages that are being sent to you. Sometimes there are signs, outside. You may ask for a sign from the angels or the guardians or numbers, right? Sometimes if you see 444, read about it. See what that sign could mean. If you see a rabbit or a turkey, why? What does that represent? And those are messages and guides, guys. We're never alone. There are always people guiding us energies around us. So hone into that. And the connecting with yourself, my favorite part is what Crystal likes to say is called into me you see. You all need to be into me you see, meaning that intimacy, when we think about intimacy, is not about the other person. It's about you being into yourself, okay? And a great way by getting connected with yourself and connecting with your inner fine ass and outer fine ass is using your 5 senses. You know, find things that you enjoy smelling. The touch of lotion being put on your body, how you look in some sexy lingerie, and you're not putting it on for anybody else, but you're putting it on for you, okay? Think about things that you enjoy eating that may be healthy for you. You know, maybe grab a glass of kombucha and you could be sexy with your glass and you're enjoying it, okay? So into me, you see, is connecting to that woman energy, okay? Which, yes, the kombucha, right? There you go. And she looks sexy as ever. And she's drinking some kombucha, which is still taking great care of herself and her body. So think about that. How can you connect with your inner fine self, right? Because we can't possibly be in relationship where we want to connect with people if we can't even connect with our own selves and our own bodies and feel great about that, all right? And lastly, what I want to talk about is coaching. Coaching is powerful because it helps you take action, guys. There's a space and a time for therapy. Yes. If you feel like you are in the past still and you still need some healing, things that have happened and you haven't completely moved on from them, yes, get some therapy. But please remember the space of coaching will help you propel forward, right? We don't want to be stuck in the past and we do want to be present, but we also want to be thinking about our future. And what are things that we want to do when our final day comes that we can be proud of, our legacy? What are things that we want to accomplish in life that no one can take away from us and that we can possibly even empower someone else's life and make a difference in their world, not just our world? So with that, I want to say that the SWAT journey, if you are interested in helping other people around you, other women empower themselves or others around you, please take a look into SWAT Institute, because there can't be enough women doing the kind of work that we do. Because the more women in the world that do the work that we do, the better the world will be, the better our future generations will be. So there's no losing in this journey. It's a win-win. And when you feel good, others around you will feel good. So it's a no-brainer. So with that said, I'm going to close off real quickly because I know Crystal's running short on time. I want you to celebrate, guys. Celebrate what you've overcome and how you did it, right? Think about giving yourself kudos for any and everything you did it. And don't forget how you did it. Because sometimes we go through things and we're like, wow, how am I going to get through this? This too shall pass. How you got through the other stuff, that's how you're going to get through it. And then can't forget the power of creativity, connection, and coaching. Secondly, I want to say surround yourself with people that celebrate you. If you have people around you that are toxic, get rid of them or limit your time around them, okay? Because you deserve better. And then lastly, sometimes we may need to fake it till we make it. And so if you don't feel great right now, that's okay. Give yourself permission to feel like you feel, journal if you need to, and then give yourself a time limit to feel that. 30 minutes, an hour. And after that, I need you to move your body, feel good, find something that you love to do and go to it so you can shift your emotions, heal any trauma you may have experienced, and regulate your emotions so that you can connect more and more with your inner badass. Okay. And lastly, into me, you see, guys, connect with your badass, 5 senses. We want that woman energy. Yes, daughter energy has its place. Mother energy has its place. But woman energy is what we were meant to have all the time. Okay. So love you guys. I appreciate this opportunity. I hope you guys got something from this and can't wait to see you guys again.
Oh, Nancy, you brought the fire. Yeah. I got to tell you, Nancy, not to go to a sad place, but I remember when you shared the story. I know we're running short on time. We really are. So I can't talk wrong. But when you shared the story of your cousin who you loved, and he was shot and killed, he was murdered, and how you used that at a time in your life where you formed your own group and you would go, like, you literally were you a dancer and a singer and you formed your own group and you had your own music. And
we had our own music group. You know, he was murdered and it was hard. And so instead of us like turning to violence or being really in an angry space, we took that energy and we decided to do what we love to do as kids together, which was dancing and singing. And we created our own music group and performed, and, you know, it was a lot of healing done. And so that's why I say creativity heals. It's free. You know, and for kids too, right? It's really important. Absolutely. So use the tools that we have.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, ladies. Didn't Nancy bring it? It was so worth heading over to part 2. Thank you so much, Nancy. You're absolutely amazing.
Love you guys.
I love you. Thank you so much. Ladies, how blessed am I that I did not tell anyone what to say, what to talk about. I just simply invited them because I love them. I wanted each one of these women to have a platform. There's so many more women in my world. I have hundreds of women like these women who have their own stories and their own message and their own wisdom and brilliance. And you have it too, wherever you're at in your life right now. Don't look at us and think they're doing it, but I could never do it. You don't have to necessarily be on a stage. This doesn't necessarily have to be your platform. But I do want to say, when you start using your voice, there's something that opens up for you, that will open up for you. And it's like you're telling the world, you're telling yourself, you're telling your higher self, you are in it to win it. And with that being said, oh my goodness, look at our goddess, Sasha Sterling. Sasha is one of my original master empowerment coaches. She worked for me way back in the day. We've traveled together. She's come on retreats. We've stayed in beautiful homes together. We were in Sedona. I actually remember us driving in the car late one night, Erin, and we had the sunroof open and Sasha went right up through the middle of the roof, and she was like the Titanic. I'm free with the car driving, and we had so much fun. So with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to this lover of life, this magical woman, this woman that I love, that we just keep somehow coming back in each other's world. Isn't it amazing? And I'm going to turn it over to Miss Sasha Sterling now.
Thank you so much, Crystal. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Okay, wonderful. So I'm just going to call myself out. This is my first time on video. This is the first time I've worn eyeliner or lipstick in a long time. I have a 5.5-week-old new baby, and he literally just threw up all over me. My sister has him in the other room. So I've been here for every single part of this epic day, and am feeling so personally nourished from the roots up. So thank you to everyone who's spoken. I am a huge Crystal Andrus Morissette fan, and it was such an honor to receive this invitation. So let me set a timer, because as I said, I'm a little bit all over the place in the best of ways. Okay, let's see. Okay, so, well, where to begin? I had notes, but it's all good. So I met Crystal now, 14 years ago. And at the time, I had a brand new baby and a 2-year-old. And my sister Darcy saw that I was struggling. My husband at the time, my ex-husband, was out working 12 hours a day, 7 days a week in our brick and mortar businesses. And so Darcy saw that I was really looking for something. I had always been inspired by women's empowerment. I was that girl in high school that would host all the girls in my class, and I would put together these affirmation dinner parties. I was a natural coach. People would come to me to ask what they should do for their life path. I had a file system. People often took my plans and went on career paths based on that senior year. And so Darcy luckily saw in me what I couldn't see in myself at the time. I felt so in love with these babies, and I also was in a huge identity crisis. And so Darcy forwarded an email for a conference call that Crystal was having with a colleague. This was before Zoom, 4 times. And I'm so grateful that she took a stand for me. We really do impact each other so very much. And so she kept forwarding me the email and said, have you listened? Have you listened? And I lied to her and said, yes, I have. And she said, no, you haven't, because if you had listened, you would not be so calm. And so I finally listened to get her off my back. And I wept the entire time. And so, Crystal, you know that one of her gifts is she's an expander. So I didn't even know that this option was on the menu of life. And Crystal's energy and what she was speaking into about the next era of the women's movement and her own vulnerability and courage and energy of sharing through story just changed my life immediately. And I got off that and called the 800 number and I said, I don't know what you're selling, but I'm signing up. And so I went on the journey of literally just following everything Crystal had to say. And I went on a 4-year master empowerment coaching certification journey. And as Crystal said, I needed to be around her. I didn't have anyone in my life at the time who modeled empowerment to me. And so I figured out how I didn't have my own credit card. I didn't have a bank account. I didn't have a laptop. I didn't know what I was going to do as a coach. And yet I was in. And so I figured out a way to fly from Northern California all the way to Crystal in Canada for a 1-day retreat. And it was so edgy. And so that was the beginning of my journey. I have lived so fully over these last 14 years, and so much of the capacity and the courage, and more than courage, because that's been mentioned many times today, is the willingness. And so after courage, what would courage have me do? The next question is, am I willing to do it? And I believe that the am I willing to do it is influenced tremendously by our environment and who we're allowing to be in our inner circle. And so the importance of getting in the right rooms, getting in the right masterminds, hiring the right coaches, so that it's not just about getting myself up to what would courage have me do? It's that, am I willing to do it? Am I willing to live at the edge of my evolution and enjoy the journey of awakening, which the map of consciousness and knowing how to coach ourselves through the emotional states, first being coached by someone else that we trust and then being able to do it ourselves. This creates a combination for we can create anything we want, pretty much, right? And so I've been experimenting with that freedom over these last 14 years and have experienced a lot. And what has come through that I want to share in hopes that possibly my story could create activation, because that's one of the things people say to me is that, like Crystal for me is an expander, I can be an activator for people. And so what's come in to share that I wasn't planning on sharing was some of the numbers, because when I first started with, in case you're here on, you're working with Crystal or you want to work with Crystal and you're wanting to feel empowered in charging what you're worth. So when I first started with Crystal, I didn't identify as an entrepreneur. I really saw myself, and it's taken a long time to unwind from this, that I'm the support person behind the brilliant leader. And I actually am a very good support person behind the brilliant leader. But at that time, it was holding me back. And so I remember yelling to my husband at the time in the bed, like, I'm going to succeed. Just watch me. I'm going to succeed in spite of you. And he looks at me like I'm a crazy woman, because he said, I literally didn't say a thing. He was like walking through the room to get his socks or something. Like it was all in me. It was all in me. Like there was no outer opponent really. It was just this stuck feeling I had. And I know there's so many reasons for that. Women's history, my lineage, all of that. I felt stuck. I felt oppressed. And so fast forward, I did the coaching, the practice coaching. I don't know what it is now, but at the time, Crystal had us do 3 free coaching sessions for 10 women. So I did the 30 calls and built so much confidence, and it was amazing. And then I got on my first official sales call, and I remember being so scared out of my mind to charge for my coaching. And I did a free 60-minute coaching call to then sell her into a $25 coaching session. Oh my God. You would think I was like in one of those crime shows, like turning a bomb off or something. It was like it was the edgiest edge for me at the time. So when she said yes, I just like Crystal said, I had my arms up and I shouted, yes. And my kids were so little at the time, and I just started crying and fell to my knees like, okay, I did it. It wasn't about the amount at the time. It was that I charged for my services, that I saw the value in myself and really what's happened since then is mind-blowing. Fast forward, I started to make $500 to $2,000 a month during my kids' nap time, and then brought what I was learning into our other businesses. And then I continued to expand and surround myself with other expanders to normalize what's possible. Once we normalize the full range of the human experience internally, like Crystal mentioned, then we can go outside for strategy. And so the combination is really, I have felt often like a superhero. It's like this, armed with everything I need to write the story I want for my life. And so fast forward, I got up to my next edge, and I remember that first 6-figure launch, and no one in my town really knowing it. I had this secret identity with the online world. This is in 2015, and that was life-changing. It was completely life-changing income. It was life-changing in terms of how I saw myself, my identity, my impact, the community that I created, and I continued to look to Crystal. I continued to look to, if she can do it, I can do it. And something that I've been forever grateful for is Crystal's generosity. Never once have I felt a spirit of competition, of you can only shine this bright. Her heart for women's empowerment, I love the messaging of this event, it's not about passing the torch forward. It's about lighting 1,000 more torches. Oh, I mean, I have goosebumps just saying it. We are the edge of the women's empowerment movement, and the planet needs us all in our leadership, imperfectly perfect leadership now more than ever. And so I felt truly like I had powerful women behind me, a powerful woman, Crystal, behind me at that threshold. And then fast forward a year and a half later, there was, a very tragic thing happened. And I know I have a minute and a half left. My father committed suicide. And that's a whole other storyline. It has changed me forever and initiated a depth to, it took me on a journey, as we all have been. The stories that have been shared here, it led to a divorce. It led to so many other things. It also helped me to get to a fuck it place inside of myself. And I've really, I really started to go even more audaciously for things. And for a while, it looked like in the outer world. And then the last few years, it's been much more about my internal landscape. And I've been in a very quiet place, and I'm just ready to come back out and, shine brightly. I feel safe enough to be my true self in this current version. To wrap it up though, that next edge was, what if I, instead of charging $5,000 a year for a spot in my program, I charged $25,000. I was like, oh boy, this feels edgy. I don't know. And I leaned on all the things, both the map of consciousness, everything from Crystal, how to present myself professionally, sales training, all of it, right? All of it. She just generously pulled the curtain back. And wouldn't you know, I had my first $250,000 sales month, and then went on to bring in $500,000 that quarter. And it was life-changing. And so I know I'm at time. I just want to, say thank you. Thank you for letting me share this space. I feel like I'm just beginning. And my recipe for how to enjoy the journey of awakening is 4 parts. So 1, intention. Everything works with intention. 2, devotion. Everything works with intention and devotion, as I've often been quoted saying. I've been humbled on my path. I'm turning 40 in a few months, and there's wisdom in the humility of with this new baby. It's so in my face. I was the maiden mother. I was very much in daughter energy in my career, mentoring with Crystal. I've gone on the journey, and I have all the wisdom and the life experience and learn wisdom. And I know now it's not enough to want something and go for it at a 10 out of 10. There's also grace involved. There's alignment with our soul, what is true now, and also divine will and timing. So I am so grateful. Thank you for having me, and I can't wait for who's next.
Oh, Sasha, you're just, wow, that was perfect timing to have you at this time of our talk. I think you got everybody excited. For all you ladies that were like, what were you asking me on my first call? How do I make $1 million in the next week? Well, ask Sasha. Sasha can now teach you how to do it because Sasha knows how to do it. And here's the thing I've learned, ladies, because like I say the same thing, like if I've really totaled up my money, and I don't want to say it that way, I think, yeah, I'm definitely, I'm an eight figure entrepreneur now, which means like I'm over the 10 million mark. And to think that I've done that with exactly what Sasha says, intention, devotion, connection, believing, trusting, grace. And Sasha, I just love you. And I'm so excited for your next steps. And you are just beginning. You are just beginning. Listen, I'm 54 and I'm just beginning. It's like I feel like I just figured this out, but I didn't. I figured it out 20 years ago, and you just keep figuring it out a little bit more and a little bit more. And then you have setbacks that you think are setbacks, but they actually aren't setbacks. They're part of like what you needed for you to be humbled, to have the grace to move into the next level and to be able to sustain it. We have to have bodies and nervous systems that have the capacity to hold big numbers and big money. And if we don't have that's why so many people that win the lottery lose all their money within 5 years, because they don't have the capacity to hold it and to know what to do with it. So it's just like it runs through their fingers and it's gone. But here's the great thing about what Sasha has just shared. If you've done it once, you can do it again. And that's what's so beautiful. We're not just like throwing spaghetti against the wall and wondering what sticks. We have formulas and processes and teamwork. And if it doesn't stick, we have us that come back in and go, wait, no, that was amazing. Let's just refine the plan. There's just a little, don't throw the plan away. Let's just tweak the little flaw that's in the plan right now. And Sasha does it over and over and over, and she will continue to reinvent herself. She's like Madonna, like me. We just keep reinventing ourselves. We are not getting older. We're just getting bolder and brighter and lighter. And Sasha, I can't wait to meet your little baby. I really can't wait to see you again. And I have a funny feeling somehow that's going to happen soon. Thank you so much, ladies. Thank you, Sasha. You're just a beautiful soul. Sasha has left the room, but Sharon is on her way in. Sharon is our Australian. I don't know what time it is in the morning for Sharon right now, but Sharon will come on our call. I figured Sharon is more of an early bird than a late bird. That's what I thought, because there's many times that I will be teaching at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and Sharon can get up at 3 a.m. in Australia to come and be on our live calls. So I just want to say, for those of you that are like, well, it doesn't work. If you really want it, if you really want something, you will find a way to make it work. And the great thing about, and as we're heading into Sharon and Melanie, you have to wait for Melanie, all of you. Melanie, as our most recent Master Empowerment graduate, I'm letting Sharon in again. Sharon, come on in. I've hit you again. You don't have to do anything. Just let it all load. Just trust it. I think it will come. And Melanie is going to be taking you through a process. So we're going to be ending today's conversation, with a process that will take you deep into your desires, an embodiment process. So I'm really excited for you to hang tight and to be a part of that final conversation. But right now we're moving into Sharon. I know she's coming on board right now. Sharon is our Australian. I always say it like that because Oprah gave away all the cars at one point and then told everybody, we're going to Australia. And she said it over and over. And you got to know I love Oprah. Oprah is my queen. And she will always be my queen, no matter what she does, because she's proven herself to me. She's my mentor. Our Australian empowerment coach and lifestyle advisor, Sharon Mitchell. She is going to touch your souls. She's trying again. I see her. Sharon, don't give up, girl. Where there's a will, there's a way. Everybody else has gotten in. And I know Nancy had a hard time too, but it's going to work. Anybody needs to help Sharon, let's give Sharon a little help here. Make sure Sharon gets in. And then we have Melanie that's next. Ladies, it's been an amazing, for me, wow, I'm just taking in all of these women and all of these messages. And there's something that just consistently seems to come through for me, which is like, you have to believe in yourself. And if you don't have that belief yet, it's okay, because you have to surround yourself in the right environment when we fall, and we're going to, we have to have people around us that help pick us up. And I'm not always the wind beneath everyone's wings. I sometimes fall. And what's so beautiful now is these women are also the wind beneath my wings. So I know Sharon has just joined the room. I'm really excited to see her coming in now. Sharon has just a real gentle confidence. You did it, Sharon. You lady goddess, you're here. So Sharon, I'm going to be turning it over to you because we're short on time, but you take your 10 minutes. We're not rushing you. But I want to just ask you before we go, what time is it for you in Australia right now?
It is 4:30 in the morning.
And Sharon does it. And she's here looking beautiful and bright and energized. And she always seems to do it. I'm going to shut up now and I'm going to turn it over to our empowerment coach, Sharon. And we can hear you, Sharon. You're good to go.
Thank you. Wonderful. Oh, I'm going to say, like we've all done, thank you so much. I am so grateful to be following on from the extraordinary like-minded women. I'm blown away to be here, even at this hour of the morning. And usually I say at 3 o'clock in the morning when I come in for a call, please don't ask me anything because I just can't think at that time of the morning. But today I can. And I'm so grateful for everybody that has spoken before me. The lessons I've learned from every woman that I have been with throughout this journey is just powerful. But I want to say, I can imagine everybody has been asked the question, what do you want to do when you grow up? And for me, back then it was, I want to be a fashion coordinator. I love fashion. That's what I want to do. Unbeknownst to me, I had a life-saving operation at 12. And, you know, at 12, who knows what they want to do? Why did I want to be a fashion coordinator? Well, that certainly changed. And destiny took its course after having that operation. And I discovered aromatherapy. And it was just the best for me. All I did was lived, breathed aromatherapy. And it helped me through many times of healing of various things. And I would then tell people about this, and I'd take my aromatherapy book everywhere I went. And then as time went by, I lost my parents at the age of 27. And, you know, that back then, that was the hardest thing to do because you're just starting out in the world. You've got no idea what's really going on. You don't ask the questions you'd love to know when you're 40, 50 or whatever to your parents because they're always going to be there. Anyway, I remember I was, after losing my father because he went last, I had no idea what to do, so I went back to work. And I got told to leave the room, and so I sat in a cafe. And I remember just sitting there and listening to everybody walk past me and stuff. And I thought, no one can hear me scream. No one can hear me scream. Why can't they? And it dawned on me that everybody walking past was living in their own journey, in their own world, and no one could hear me scream. So that was the day that I realized that I had to live my journey. This is my time now, and this is for me. So all that I've been through and all that I'd been going to go forward, I had to see a naturopath because I think holistic medicine was coming my way. And I then went to, I just absolutely loved it. And that really helped me evolve and move on to, you know, where I am today. But one thing I didn't realize is that helping was so in me, and I would help people left, right, and center. And to the point then I'd realize that I would lose them when they were well. And I was then left, you know, on the ground and thinking, what on earth has happened? And it dawned on me that I was becoming a rescuer. And I'm sure there are a few of us out there. And I thought, no, I don't want to do that. That's no, I'm stopping that. And I said, that's it, never helping anyone again because that hurts too much. And so I didn't. And I just had no idea what to do then. I was a mess. I just lost myself completely. And as time went by, I realized that helping is me and it is my blood. And I then learned how to do that, how to help people without losing me. And that was through, finally, after losing my parents, unfortunately, I had to wake up. I had to, look after me. And eventually one day I finally noticed that aromatherapy was on the cards for study because, way back when I was looking at it, there was no such thing. And so I took it on, and boy, did I take it on. And it was aromatherapy and massage. And I just absolutely loved it. And then I got into, while I was there, I fell pregnant with my son. And I could not believe that I was not allowed to be massaged. Aromatherapist, you can't be massaged. I was like, this is ridiculous. And I then took on my own self to, after all the aromatherapy I've been looking at, that you can massage women for sure, no matter what age, no matter who you are. And so that was my journey to discovering further holistic healings and all that work. And I got into, after having my son, I managed to get into a health retreat. And at this stage, I was living in the Blue Mountains in Sydney. And I just absolutely loved it, absolutely loved it. And I remember one day, this lady said to me on the table, she said, oh my goodness, you have this most amazing golden glow all over you. And I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about. I don't know. But I can feel something as well, but I didn't understand. And, it was interesting. Moving forward, it turned out that I had a gift of intuitive knowing, and I had to understand how to handle that because all that I'm going through, how do we do that? So I looked after myself. I went and did energy healing. I did Reiki 1, 2, master, and I still had to keep learning more. And, through all this learning and having to do all this on my own, it's interesting that back in the early days when I thought that question, what do you want to do when you grow up? I had no idea that my path would be where I am today. And while I was studying Reiki master teacher, or actually just master, I found empowerment coaching. And for me, I was always the one that was I was normal to me and abnormal to everyone else. No one can understand what I was going through. And I absolutely loved empowerment coaching because it resonated so strongly with me. And that was just incredible. So then I kept learning that and doing the Reiki, and I was moving through creating my business, working in day spas, and I had to keep learning. I needed more. And through all this, I became a single parent, and bringing my son up in the world of what I was going through, what I was learning and all this thing, teaching him the tools to get to where he is today. We went through some challenges, of course. Being a parent, sole parent of a child, yes, we all know that there's tough times. Anyway, so I just remember the day that coming through with empowerment coaching and learning more and more and more, my wellbeing business took off and it went tenfold. It was just astronomical. And then I know we're running out of time. So the things I found out that through all this is that no matter what age you are and no matter where you are in your life, showing up for you is so important. From my journey, I know that showing up for you has a ripple effect wherever you go, for your family, for your friends, whatever you do. And this has certainly helped me because I've had no one to turn to. I've had no parents, and so I do have siblings, which is wonderful. But I learned through doing this empowerment course that I have three siblings, and we all went through our life differently under the same roof. And everyone had a different story. And I can't believe that my story is where I am today. And I am sharing it. And it took me a long time to share my story. And one of the things I truly believe is no matter who you are the main character in your own story. And with that, I know this is what my business is all about. I am now an empowerment coach and lifestyle advisor and Reiki master teacher. And I absolutely love everything I do. And that's one of the things I go about telling people is that to find your real self is to love yourself. And then, basically what we do today creates our tomorrow. So let's create the life we love waking up to. And every day is going to be incredible. And I know that there are stages where we go through that can really throw us off. But just come back to you. And like many of our ladies today, find that self-care. Find what works for you and live your life the way that you're the main character in your story, because everyone has an incredible story. Look, don't be the best friend. You don't need that. You are the main character in your own story. And I love everything that everybody has said today. And I'm so grateful to be here to share my story, but the one that's taken me a long time to even contemplate talking about. And one thing I'd love to say, I would say to my clients, especially when they get further in better than in themselves, is in 6 months' time, mark in the diary, have a reflection of how your life has been. There's no judgment required, none at all. Just take that time to 6 months' time, say, let's have a look at where have I been, where I am today, and embrace and love every step you've moved through. And you'd be surprised what you're capable of doing. And I do remember on my anniversary of my mother's death, I think it was 10 years, I looked back to see what I'd done that she would be proud of. And I could not believe what I had achieved. I had achieved 3 diplomas. I got married. I had a child. And yes, I got divorced. But, everything I've done has been for me, living my life, creating my real self, and finding my joy. And finding that mojo and joy and dancing, like we've all said, and having that great moment of breaking free, listening to music, finding that song that works for us. I can go on for hours for talking about the tools of helping you to feel best you can. And I know that we're running out of time. So I'm grateful to everybody. And I really, really thank you for being here.
Sharon, thank you so much. You were amazing. Thank you to everyone. So I know that Melanie is coming back in. Melanie's going to take us through a beautiful embodiment process. I'm very excited about that. It's probably going to take a little bit. We're going to go a little bit past 3, but we're pretty close to sticking to our timelines. What a day. Has this not been an incredible day? I think it's just been absolutely amazing. We're just waiting now for Melanie. Because we weren't able to bring Melanie on today anyways, it doesn't matter. We're coming back. We're going to do another call. We're going to take you so deep into your own body. We're going to teach you what this means to connect body, mind, and spirit. We're going to show you what it means to let yourself feel what you feel and not to let it make you be wrong. If it didn't make you a bad woman, it didn't make you a bad daughter, sister, mother, lover, partner, wife, whatever it is, what are you really feeling under there? And to create a safe place to let that part of you speak to you, give you wisdom that you're waiting for, that no one else can give to you. and it's going to be a magical experience. So I'm so sorry it wasn't able to happen today, but boy, haven't we had a lot. Haven't we had our fill of magic? We're going to come back around, because let me tell you something. Melanie has so much energy. We're going to all need space to hold the capacity of where she's bringing us. And I'm really excited about that. So I'm publishing that offer right now. If you'd like to learn more, please book a discovery session. We will be able to bring you right into calls. Like, we've opened up our calendars. And I would love to continue the journey with you. So we're going to be back. We're going to be sending you an email with one last webinar that we're going to be doing this with Melanie in deep embodiment work, connecting body, mind, and soul. We're going to start with that for now. And we're going to be back with our class 3. I guess we're going to call it part 3. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for being part of the conversation today. Thank you so much to all of our speakers. You spoke from your heart. You are all on fire. You are all lighting torches. And today, this is what I would ask, is you hold your torch now and you say, I will never give my torch up ever again. I will never snuff that light out. I will never, ever tell myself I'm getting too old or I'm too something for my dreams. You are exactly where you need to be right now in this time in the world. And we're counting on you. No pressure. We got you. You got this. And we'll see you all very soon. Bye for now. And I send you my love. And now you know what that means when I say I love you. My heart to yours. Let's do this, girl. Shine bright. Thank you, everyone. And we'll talk real soon.